kick the field goal. It'll be Jason Chingel out of the hole to Mesco. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is blocked. Appalachian State has stunned the college football world. One of the greatest upsets in sports history.
Live from Chatterbox Sports Studios, it's Off the Bench with Thom Brennaman.
Alrighty, good morning, and good morning. And again, coming to you from a remote location down here in Florida, celebrating some time with friends and family right after the holidays. Hope you and yours are having a wonderful holiday, leading right into the new year over the weekend. This is Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Come your way Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern Time. You can follow us on YouTube where we stream. Just search Chatterbox Sports. And the same thing on Facebook, our Chatterbox Sports page. All right, we're going to get right into the Bengals and the Bills and all that kind of thing in just a little bit. But it's also the weekend where the college football playoff has finally arrived. We know Ohio State will play tomorrow night against number 1 Georgia. Tim May, for 42 years, has been covering Ohio State football for the Columbus Dispatch. He'll join us at 10:45. But the first game is I'm really excited about this one. That's TCU and Michigan. And I've got skin in the game. Got a child that goes to school down there at TCU. Now, the man who is covering all of this has been for many, many, many years, Mac Engel. He's an author. He's a longtime sports writer. I mean, look at him down there in Phoenix. Although I got to tell you, Mac, it doesn't look like such a nice state out there. You expected better.
No, thank you very much for having me on. I didn't know you had a child at TCU. I never knew that.
Yeah,
I'm always surprised when I hear. I didn't know that. That's great. No, you've been out here to Phoenix 8 billion times. I've been out here 500,000 times. I've never seen it like this. You came out in spring training and did 1 million games. You did a Fiesta Bowl. I still remember your call when Boise State beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl 20 years ago or however many years ago. But no, we got rain here. So whatever that means, I don't know if that means anything about tomorrow's game as an upset, but it actually rained here. So whatever plans people had to hike or be outside, that's it looks like they're going to be inside the mall today.
Well, it's funny because you bring up the rain, and I lived in Arizona for about 14 years, right when the Diamondbacks launched. And it's funny you bring up, you make right. Does the rain mean anything? And one of the moments I'll remember forever is when, it rarely ever rains in Arizona to start with, in Phoenix anyway. Right. But in Game 7 of the World Series, it rained in the 9th inning, and the Diamondbacks beat Mariano Rivera in the bottom of the 9th inning to win that World Series, and it was starting to rain when the 9th inning began.
I never knew that.
Yeah. It was a great story. All right, look, I want to talk to you. First off, let me ask you this real quick, because you've covered the Cowboys forever. You authored a book with Tony Romo. You've been down there a long, long time. They win last night. Obviously, you weren't at the game. But how do you like the Cowboys? I think a lot of us, on the AFC side, in Cincinnati, and there are a lot of us that watch the Cowboys and we're like, boy, there are a lot of things to really like. But then there's some things that you're like, well, is your defense really that good? Can Dak Prescott win the big one? I know there's a lot there. But how do you feel about Dallas with 1 week to go in the regular season, then on to the playoffs?
First of all, I want to say this. I really want to thank you for having me on. I've always, I was born in Cincinnati. You and I have met a few times. We actually have a friend in common. My sister-in-law grew up with you. And so to be asked to be on a show with Thom Brennaman, the Brennaman family, means so much to me. I really appreciate it, Tommy, a lot. So I was, I'm a Bengals guy. I suffered through that pain. That was the first team that I really loved. And this is a long answer to that. So dovetail. I think when I look at the NFL right now, there's like 3 teams that you look at and you think, whew, man, they really got something because they have either Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, or Patrick Mahomes. And I think there's that second tier where Dallas falls in, where you've got Dak Prescott You've got Kirk Cousins, who I've thought he was a good guy and a good pro, but he's never anybody. He's not been somebody who ever really scared me. And then you certainly look at Jalen Hurts and now San Francisco. So any team in the NFC, those top teams, they're all really good and they've got flaws. Well, if San Francisco, you would put years ahead of everybody if Jimmy Garoppolo was healthy. Well, he's not. They're playing with a rookie, the last pick in the draft from Brock Purdy. And that's not their fault. And he's doing a great job. And you have to give everybody a lot of credit. But I think when you look at Dallas, you hit the nail on the head. You're like, there's a lot to like. And there's a lot to be concerned about. I'm a big Dak Prescott fan. He's a great guy. He's a terrific leader. Everybody likes the guy. And you do see him make throws sometimes. I go back and watch the Philly game. He made a completion on 3rd down and 30 that was just as good a throw as any quarterback could make. You remember?
Yep.
I think we
Did
might
we
have
lose
lost
him?
Sorry about that. Did I lose you?
That's okay. Go ahead. You were talking about the 3rd and 30.
Okay. The 3rd and 30, yeah. So it was a great throw. And he makes all these throws, but God, he's in this run right now that's just – I've never seen anything like it where, Tommy, passes that are on the mark go off a guy's fingertip and it's into the other team's safety's hands. And it's all the time. And you would think law of averages would say, well, that'll stop. And then it happens again. And he hit 2 more last night. One of them wasn't his fault, but it's on his ledger. I firmly believe that will stop. The Cowboys will win their first game in the playoffs against Tom Brady and the Bucs. Then they'll go into the divisional round. And then I don't have any idea. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by 3. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost by 6. I think they'll be close. Yeah. I don't think them as a Super Bowl team. I wouldn't be surprised they get the NFC Championship game either, though.
No, I mean, like I said, there's a lot to like, and there are games where you watch their defense, and Parsons and these guys are running all over the field, and and there are other games you're looking up, and they're giving up 40 to Jacksonville or whatever it might be. All right, on to the game you're covering. I find this because, look, everybody who watches our show knows because of my skin in the game with our daughter. But this has been I've watched every game on television, and I've been to a couple in person. And look, everybody and his brother is basically saying they have no chance against Michigan. I don't believe that for a second. Watch the team and the way they played and the way they've won. What makes you think they have a chance? Or do you think they have a chance?
Yeah, I do. I think, the one component to this that's inescapable is, Tom, most of these playoff games have been boring blowouts. I think there have been 16 of them, and 13 of them have been decided by double digits. These are the 4 best teams in the country, and they're all blowouts. And that's just the way it's gone. For whatever reason, there's 1,000 different theories, and I'm sure anybody who looks at this, like you just said, well, this will just be another 12-point, 15-point win for the favorite. I think TCU can play with them. I think this goes back to brand stuff, and it's the idea that Michigan's Michigan, and that's a power team from a power conference, and they're a huge power state school with all these big giant guys. And TCU is relatively new as a power. They are. I mean, they really, this only started since about 1998-ish, and even then they weren't in a power conference. I would be willing to bet all of my. I'll tell you this will give you everything you want to know, Tommy. I love telling this story. I have taught there as an adjunct professor off and on for 10 years. Back in 2007, I taught a class. 2008 first conference game, middle of October. The weather had broken. It was 7:00. 15 kids. 2 of them had to be at the game on Thursday night against BYU. Student asked me, Tommy, hey, well, can we go to the game? I said, yeah, absolutely. We'll cancel class, go to the game. None of them went to the game. None of them. They all want to stay in my class. It was the dumbest thing ever. I'm like, you're crazy. Go to the game. This is a great night. Go to the game. They didn't want to go. Fast forward to 2 years after the Rose Bowl. I have 12 kids in my class, 6 males, 6 females. I said, just out of curiosity, how many of you guys attended TCU based on the influence of the success of the football team? All 12 kids raised their hands. There's no way your daughter wanted to go here without the success of that football team. And it's nothing to say anything disparaging about anybody. That's the influence of it. But this is all relatively new. And I think that newness hasn't really influenced people who watch college football to think, well, TCU, they're not going to win that game. What they're trying to do is basically what Notre Dame did in the modern era. That's really hard. This is a small, you've been here. It's only 10, 12,000 kids. It's really small. Michigan's got 80 million kids. Ann Arbor's a giant college town. TCU is a small school in a major metropolitan area that gets lost behind the Cowboys, Stars, Mavericks, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's a really good team. You just have to get your head around the idea that it's from a small school that can compete with a big team. They can. I think it'll be a fourth quarter game, and it'll come down to 6, 8, 10 plays. If TCU can get a turnover or two and win those kinds of cliche, margins, I think they can win the game. I don't think they have any shot against Georgia, but I think they can beat Michigan.
One thing about Duggan that I like so much about him, and I'm talking about off the field more, because his on the field play speaks for itself, and his guts and his toughness and his journey and getting benched to start the year after being the starter. And then the guy gets hurt the first game. He's back in as a starter, and he ends up in New York at the Heisman thing. But the thing that he does that I've never heard any college kid, Mac, in my life is he talks so much about how he loves the school and how important this to the school. I never hear anybody talk about that.
Neither have I. I had the exact – I'm so glad you said that. I've had the exact same observation. I mean, you think about the advertising, what he has given this school. You can't put a dollar amount on it because this school, this city, this school, this city. He's from a small town in Iowa. He comes down here. He wasn't – obviously, he was heavily recruited, but not – one like Ohio State. Think about how badly Iowa would want him right now, or Iowa State would want him right now.
Right.
Yeah, right. They would kill for him. I mean, Iowa could do nothing but punt all year. And I can't think of – you look at Iowa – look at Max. He's the son of a coach. And I remember hearing this when he lost the starting job. I mean, it is crazy to me. He had started 30 college games in his first 3 years, and he was not the starter going into his senior year. That's crazy. And he was disappointed, but he had manned up and said, okay, I'm going to ride this out. But he was really nervous about telling his dad. And look how it worked out. The starter's Chandler Morris, also the son of a coach. Chad Morris was the head coach at SMU in Arkansas. I talked to Chandler yesterday in Colorado. Max comes in, and that's it. And then after that, it's just been a story like everything you just said. But in the middle of that is all of this PR work on the part of the university that I've never seen before. You always, I love my teammates. I love these guys. I love these staff. Nothing like this school's amazing. Never. And he's done it. And the school, I know this, talking to administrators, they revere him for it. They can't find enough words. They might be able to find a few dollars, but they can't find enough words, Tommy, to express their gratitude for the things that he has said on camera, on ESPN, and every place else throughout these last four and a half months.
Well, I just think that, if you're somebody out there, and of course in Ohio, we have Ohio State, although Cincinnati's not a huge Ohio State town compared to the rest of the state, as you know, but there's still a lot of Buckeyes alums, and so that's a team most are following. You have a reason, obviously, to despise Michigan. But I just think that if you have no skin in the game or blood or anti-anything or anti-anybody, it's always great to latch onto the underdog, and it's always great to find a persona with the underdog that you would want your own kid to be like. And I mean, that's what Max Duggan is. You would want your son and or daughter to carry themselves on so many levels, the benching in a day and age where it's I, me, it's all this sort of stuff, getting benched, not saying I'm out of here and the coach is an idiot, he just came in and blah, blah, blah. I just think that they're an easy team to just jump on the bandwagon for 1 or 2 games. Why not?
Oh, but the funny part about it is, and I'm sure you've heard it, is this idea that there's this Cinderella. Well, Tommy, this is a Cinderella that has an endowment of $2.4 billion. Cinderella basically worked for her sisters, mean, cruel stepsisters, and lived in a basement. You've been down here. You pay the tuition check, okay?
Yeah.
This is a pretty good-looking Cinderella. But, when in terms of – and I don't know if you've been to a game – they get a 48,000-seat stadium. It's an amazing facility. Tommy, they can't fill it up. The school's just too small, and everybody makes fun of it. But you know how it goes. You lived in Cincinnati forever. Think about how long it took for UC to fill up.
Yeah.
forever. I mean, it took generations of coaches, great coaches, winning and winning. And this started back when Dennis Franchione was the coach in 98. And he goes to Alabama, and they promote the assistant. They didn't really want to, Gary Patterson. And then, oh my God, that is lightning in a bottle times 1,000. And then it just they kept spending money. And Tom, the other thing too, they just kept winning. And that's what they did. That's how they built their brand. And now you've got your daughter here, and it's a neat place. It is a great place. But it is funny the perception of the university and how much it's changed since I moved there in '96. It was a very small regional school, and now it was known as Texas Christian University. And in about '98, the university decided we want to be known now as TCU. I remember I can still see the university memo in all university stuff. It wanted to be TCU. They wanted to get away from its relationship with the Disciples of Christ Church, and they've done that. And now it's a very affluent. Most of the kids come from California now, and it's a national brand, small private school with power sports, and that's what they do.
Well, my friend, I know you got to get into press conferences. I can't thank you enough for your time today, Mac, and I'd love to have you back. Maybe we get in the playoffs and have you back and come talk about the Cowboys and what's going on with them if you have the time.
Anytime.
All right, Mac. All the best. Happy New Year, and thank you so much.
Means a lot. I appreciate it.
Great to have him with us, and look, it's gonna be fun. I mean, it's gonna be fun. These college football games. I hope they turn into good games. And let me bring in Casey and Paul and fellows. Good morning, and great to have you guys on board back there in Cincinnati. We're going to be doing our picks coming up a little bit later on today. As I mentioned, we're also going to be joined by Tim May. 42 years has been covering Ohio State football for the Columbus Dispatch. Much like Mac, great personality. We'll lay it out on the line, and he's down in Atlanta getting ready for that game. Fellas, are you there?
We are here. We're just getting the camera set up, but we are here. We can hear you, and hopefully you can hear us.
All right. Well, we have lots in the chat already. Lots viewing. AJ says it looks like I'm sitting on the John. I'm not, AJ. I'm not sitting on the John. I just changed rooms today because so many of you were apparently unhappy with that, whatever that wallpaper was in the other room. I think it was an elephant with people riding the elephant. I'm not quite sure. But now, Emperor points out, as you can see, he points out, says, bathrooms don't normally have thermostats.
Tom, what's the house set at? What's the house set at? What's the temperature like down there?
Well, the house is set at 73. I don't know why it would be on 73. Today it's going to be, I think, around 80, close to 80 degrees. And the nights get a little cool. But, you open up all the windows down here this time of year, and it's nice. How you guys doing? You all right?
Doing good. Fantastic. Tom. Look at TCU. Rock and roll.
You guys, by the way, may have heard about this house I'm staying in. Are you familiar at all with Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah.
No, I mean, this is it. So we're hanging out down Mar-a-Lago. So there you go. All right. So, fellas, look, today we're going to have we're going to talk a little. Let's start because we'll have more on the college football thing to come. I wanted to ask you, though, Paul, has anything changed with regard to the line in that game or where the money is going in that game?
In the which game?
The TCU Michigan game.
No, it's pretty much the same as yesterday. It's like I said, I think yesterday it was 52-48. Now it's 51-49. It's pretty much stayed 50-50, split right down the middle. People can't make up their minds. I think
isn't that interesting? I mean, do you think it's because it's a point or two more than the Ohio State Georgia game?
Yeah, it's at 7.5 right now, and Georgia's at 6.5. I will say that on the money line, that the vast majority of the bets are coming in on TCU. 97% of the money is on TCU on the money line. Wow. Well, who did you pick yesterday on Not Too Picky? You did a show yesterday, right? Yeah, we picked Michigan minus 7.5. We'll pick all these games here coming up, but I think the one thing you read into that on the money line is that you get more value out of TCU if you think TCU is going to win the game. If you think that this is going to be maybe a closer game, if you think TCU can win it, that makes a little sense there. That 78% of the bets are on Michigan, but 97% of the money is on TCU on the money line, but it's 50-50 on the spread.
Okay. All right. All right, we'll circle back to this a little bit later when we go through our picks. Want to get back to the Bengals for a second. Now, I don't know if they've released anything, probably not this morning, because they're going to practice here shortly. But, fellas, I got to tell you, I mean, I was stunned watching. We were told you're not going to see Sam Hubbard until the playoffs, and maybe that is true. But he looked like a guy that was ready to play football, if you saw some of the video in practice yesterday. I mean, he's going full speed. He's doing the cutting with the dummies they have and all the moves you have to make as a pass rusher and all this kind of thing. Casey, I'm sure you saw it. Hayden Hurst is out running around a little bit more. We've already seen Hendrickson come back, with the broken wrist. There's a lot of toughness going on in that building down there right now. Or maybe they're just quick healers, or maybe it's a combination of the two. But Casey, you have any feel on what you think? You think Hubbard plays this week?
Oh, man. As much as I want him to play, I don't think he should. I'd rather have him for the Ravens than the Bills. I think he's more integral to containing Lamar than he is being like somewhat healthy, 75% healthy for the Bills game. I'd rather have him be at like 85, 90 for the Ravens than the 75 that we're seeing. So that part, like, I'm glad to see that he's practicing. He might be able to play the final game. He for sure will probably be able to play the wild card, or if we get the bye, I mean, even better. He'll be ready to go for the playoffs for sure.
Yeah.
But to me, the surprise was the elevation of Isaiah Prince to start now at right tackle instead of Akeem Adeniji. Did you see that? Did you hear about that?
Yes. Yep. Burrow kind of let that slip out a little bit, I think.
He did. I think he did. I don't know if they were supposed to say anything, and I don't know. I was listening to Zach's presser, and he was just saying, like, Prince was out early on in the season on IR, and they gave him an opportunity, and he's really shined in practice, I guess, and they're going to give him the start, the nod. And I found that really surprising after the poor performance he had last year. So either they feel like Hakeem can't do it, is not serviceable, or they feel like Prince has improved. I don't know which is – I don't know how to feel about it, and I feel mixed about it because he was on your practice squad. Like, he could have been elevated at any point. But now, all of a sudden, your third-string guy is now starting. I don't know if that's a sign of bad things to come or good things. How do you feel about it?
Well, I got to tell you, the one thing, and believe me, I've taken my shots at Zach Taylor as far as being ready to play at the start of games. We talked about the offensive line going back to training camp, some of the play calling, and no coach is perfect at play calling. But there have been some just egregious decisions made in terms of play calling in key situations. I go back to that Baltimore game, and I can't even believe they still lost that game to the Ravens, doing shovel passes and all this nonsense inside the three. Anyway, but I was going to say, one thing I will acknowledge is that I think Zach Taylor and his staff are really good evaluators of players. And they have a great feel for that locker room. I mean, I must say, I think as a CEO kind of a guy, as a head coach, I think that Taylor is really blossoming into a guy that when it comes to personnel decisions, along with Duke Tobin and the coaching staff Taylor has around him, I think you can trust his decisions on this stuff. And look, Prince was a big-time player at Ohio State. I don't know the reasons why he was not drafted higher. He was a 3-year starter at tackle at Ohio State. Normally you see those guys in programs like that, Wisconsin or Michigan or fill in the blank, Alabama. Those guys are much higher draft picks. So Prince, gets the chance last year. You mentioned what he's been going on this year. I mean, not even on the active roster. But they must see something in him that they like. I mean, I don't know if he would be considered a better pass blocker, a better run blocker compared to Adeniji. I have no idea. But I'm going to have to trust Taylor on this one because of his track record. It seems like every time they put somebody in, but more times than not because of injury, not because of a benching necessarily, but every time they put somebody in, that player has played and played well.
Yeah, and the body type as well is very similar to Collins, and that worry of Hakeem having to play his position where they were leaving Collins out on that island, that the schematics, they probably won't change now because Isaiah fits the mold better than Hakeem. Some people in the chat were just kind of pointing that out. Like, it's easier to go from Collins to Prince, same body type, same probably philosophy that they're going to try to instill, same schematic. They're still going to probably have him out on the island. Then Hakeem going in there, you have two small tackles if that's the case. And with Prince, you have a bigger body at the right side. So I think with that, I think that's a smart move. I think that's smart. If they can not change anything on the line schematically, if they don't have to shade help to that side, if they can just stay the same, then we won't see a dramatic drop. But we'll see. We'll see if he can perform because he's going up against Gregory Rousseau, who's no slouch.
Well, I mean, no, he's no slouch, but as somebody points out in the chat, he's also, he's not Aaron Donald, he's not Micah Parsons. He's a good player, and their defense is like a lot of defenses. They've had their moments. They've also had their moments of inconsistency. That's one area where if there's one separation, and these two teams are so similar, MVP quarterbacks, great skill position players. Find a way to win mentality. But the Bengals defense has been more consistent than just about any defense in the NFL, and certainly more consistent than Buffalo. Does that mean they're a better defense in Buffalo? I have no idea. I don't watch Buffalo play every game, but I've seen games where they've been lit up in some games and given up some big-time points. Whereas the Bengals, the only time that happened all year long, the only game where they gave up big-time numbers was the first Cleveland game when they were up there on that Halloween night, and everything went wrong. It's the only bad game this team has played all year long. Bad game, top to bottom. 7-game winning streak. Buffalo's won 6 in a row. I got to believe, fellas, with gambling starting in Ohio, that's going to start up, tomorrow night at midnight. The Bengals and the Bills and the game being in town, you guys are there. I'm not. I got to believe it's the only thing people are talking about around there.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely – we talked about it a lot yesterday on the show. I will say, I mean, Ohio State, Georgia, I mean, we'll talk about a weekend here in this city and around the state. Yeah. Like, between Ohio State playing tomorrow night, which, I think Ohio State fans, you can tell, there's some I don't want to say they're timid, but it's not the over the top that you hear a lot of times from Ohio State fans. But combine that with the Bengals and the Bills on Monday night, and now the weather's starting to look better. It's warm. I mean, it's 60 degrees here today, and the rain looks like it's moving out for Monday. So things are looking up for Monday Night Football.
Good. Because the last time I left there, it was 20 below.
No,
so that's good for everybody.
Yeah, it's about 60 degrees outside and about 100 degrees here in the studio.
Why do you have a sweatshirt on then?
Because it's TCU, but my sleeves are rolled up. I'm sweating.
It's nice in here now, Tom. It's nice.
Real but nice. We know what's coming, okay? So enjoy it while it lasts, all right? All right. We got Tim May coming up in about 15 minutes. I'm really excited to have him on because he is the dean of covering Ohio State football. He went into their Hall of Fame, in fact, as one of only 2 media members, I think, all time. But let's get to some picks here today, boys. And let's start talking about some of the things going on and what the weekend's going to look like as we're down to the final 2 weeks of the NFL season. After games on Sunday, we'll start to get a feel for what game is going to be flexed out. If I were a betting man, I'd bet a lot of money on it being Tennessee, Jacksonville, winner take all. Will move to Sunday night. They're not going to ask, I don't think, the Bengals and the Ravens to play Sunday night after the Bengals are playing on a Monday night. So we'll see. But
right, so
start, man.
Here's our record before we get going. Here's our record. Thom, you are right on the heels.
Uh-oh.
Not good. But it doesn't matter.
Oh, it's
go
really
undefeated.
good.
It's going to be an undefeated weekend for me.
Okay. Well, you said that yesterday, and we're about to find out. So we're starting with games today, are we not, Paul? Are we starting with college football today with the Fighting Irish?
We are. We're going to pick we have one more in here that I have not thrown in here yet that I'm going to add into the Google Doc right now that you'll see me adding in. We're going to pick the Orange Bowl too. I didn't throw that in there. But yes, we're going to start with South Carolina and Notre Dame in the Gator Bowl. Okay. And this is Notre Dame minus 3.5.
And I'm going to take South Carolina in this one. I think that South Carolina is capable of scoring a lot of points with Rattler at quarterback. They're playing their best football of the year. You know, it's hard to say what a month off does to any of these teams because we've seen great teams that get this month off that were on a roll and they come back 30 days after their last game and they lay an egg and they have a hard time getting it together. But I just think that South Carolina can score, and I don't think Notre Dame can score much. But we'll find out. I'm taking the Gamecock.
Casey.
I am taking the Gamecocks as well. I'm going to follow Mike Schmaltzy's advice.
Schmaltzy!
Yeah.
All right. That's tough, too, because he's a Notre Dame guy. All right, I'm going to take the Irish here at plus 3.5. Okay. Bowl season's wacky. Maybe I can pick up a game. I don't know.
Well, I had to say that very quietly because my wife is a Golden Domer as well. So I have to be quiet. She's sitting in the other room that I just picked against her alma mater. Okay, what's next?
Thom, for the final time this year, the men from A-Town. OU.
Enough said. OU. That's it.
Casey.
Leaders of men. Giving a tail kicking to Wyoming out there in Arizona.
Thom, is O'Rourke playing?
No, he's done for the year.
Oh, man, that's tough.
Casey, are you really going to fade OU now? You can't. We've done it all year. We've been
know.
on the OU train all year.
But it's a legitimate question Casey is asking because Curtis, when they played in the MAC championship game, I mean, God bless the kid Harris who was in there. He had won a big game the week before.
Do you see what Tom's doing to you right now, Casey? Do you see what he's doing to you right now, Casey? He's convincing you to fade OU after you've done it all year. He's trying to pick up a game on you. No, he's playing mind games with you.
I'm fading OU.
Whoa!
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The Cowboys.
Sorry, Bobcats.
No love. No faithfulness. No loyalty. Thom, give me the Bobcats. Give me the Bobcats.
Well, you'll still have a job when I get back.
Tennessee.
All right, what do we got next?
Tennessee, Clemson, the only one we hadn't already picked.
You know, this is a hard one because the Tennessee quarterback went down, was having a phenomenal year. I really have not paid much attention to Tennessee since that game. Clemson had their starter. He's already left school, and he's going out to Oregon State. But the other kid was starting to play a little bit. You know, I'm going to take Tennessee.
Wow.
Okay.
This is a tough one, too, you know, just for all the things that you said, the Hendon Hooker situation. I can't even pronounce the Clemson old quarterback's name, so I'm not going to try.
Uyunglele.
Ulungale?
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah, he's gone. I'm just going to quickly look at Tennessee's. I mean, it's by -6.
It is by -6, Casey.
Clemson's?
The Clemsons.
Clemson's favored in that game, right?
-6,
-6.
Yeah. I'm taking Tennessee. Okay.
Yeah, I'm changing mine to Tennessee, too. I had it on Clemson.
Balls. All right. I'm also going to take the Vols. I think 6 is a big number in these wacky, like I said, games, bowl games. You don't know who's
Too
playing.
many guys are out.
What the hell's going on here? All right. We are going to do the first semifinal game, TCU and Michigan. Michigan minus 7.5.
Are you kidding me? Come on. Go Frogs! Go Frogs!
Go Frogs! Yeah, TCU for me too. Let's get it done.
All right. Well, where I
Don't
showed.
tell me, Paul. Paul, do not tell me you're wearing a TCU sweatshirt and you're about to go to the dark side.
Well, here's
Do
what
not tell me that. If you're going to pick the other guys, take the damn sweatshirt off.
here's
You
what
got
I'm
a
gonna.
shirt on under there.
Here's what I'm going to ask. Of course I do. I have a Xavier shirt on underneath here, Tom. Here's what I'm going to ask you, Tom.
Are they playing in a bowl game?
They might be in a few years. Who knows?
They might be. You're right. They might.
Here's what I'm going to ask you. As somebody that gave out Michigan yesterday on Not Too Picky, I was not wearing the TCU hoodie yesterday. Am I allowed to show loyalty to the brand today, or do I have to stick with Michigan? Because that's what I'm going to pick is Michigan minus
You
7.5.
do what you think is best. You're trying to win this thing, and the only reason you're ahead is because 1 week Trace picked for you, and he won every game. So you do whatever you think is best.
I am going to take Michigan minus 7.5. It pains me. I'm wearing the TCU hoodie, and if TCU wins, and maybe if they cover, I might still come in wearing this hoodie on Monday. But I think Michigan's just too much for TCU in this one.
Okay.
Although I don't love it as much at 7.5 because I do think TCU can muck it up. And if you think about it, say this is like a 14-point game at the end, and TCU does something, scores with 2 minutes left, tries to get an onside kick, they bring it within 7. Hey, that's within the number. So at 7.5, I don't love it, but I do think that Michigan can get enough to cover this number. All right.
Okay.
Take it off. Take it off.
I might have to. Anyway.
Take it off. Take
I
it
know.
off.
I'm a fraud.
That's
I'm a
lame.
fraud. I'm a fraud.
Lame.
I'm a
Lame.
fraud. All right. The last college football game that we're going to pick this year. Oh, no, wait, no, because we're going to pick the national championship. But the last one for this weekend is Ohio State and Georgia.
Move on.
Casey.
System plays the Ohio State.
Uh-oh.
I'm going Ohio State. As much as it pains me, I don't like picking Ohio State. They have not been doing well when it comes to covering the spread. But it's a system play, man. I got to go with it.
I hate this. I hate this with every ounce, every fiber of my being. But I'm going to take the Buckeyes. I'm going to take the Buckeyes.
What?
I'm going to take the Buckeyes.
We're all taking Bucks.
We're all taking the Buckeyes.
I cannot believe you two guys are picking Ohio State, especially you, Paul. All right, let's move on.
I can't believe it either. All right.
Well, we got to get these in before Tim comes in. Let's go.
All right, let's rocket through it. We got 5 NFL picks here. Kansas City and Denver. Kansas City minus 12.5.
I'm taking Denver. It's too many points. Denver's first game without Hackett around there. Maybe they show up and then go play. Compete, at least. Compete!
Yeah, I'm also taking Denver.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to take Denver too. This is a wacky one, and everybody knows I hate the big spreads. Carolina, Tampa Bay, Bucks minus 3.5.
I'm taking the Buccaneers. They're a proven product with a main man at quarterback. I think they win the game.
Yeah, I think I'm taking Tampa too. They just have too good of a defense, and it's Tom Brady.
I don't know what to do here. I have not looked at this game at all, if anybody's actually tailing my picks. This is one that I have not looked at. I'm going to take Tampa Bay, though.
This is one I wanted to go the other way on. That's
switching?
It's a very different Carolina team than we saw come in here and get boat raced by the Bengals. I mean, they're really playing well. But it is Tom Brady, and I guess I'll ride that mule. It was gone from a horse to a mule, although Jesus rolled in on a mule. So perhaps it's a good sign that Brady's now on a mule. So go ahead.
I'm taking
Mule
the
of an
Bucks.
offense.
I'm taking the Bucks. Miami and New England. Patriots minus 2.5. Fighting Mac Joneses. Tua's not
Gosh,
playing.
I cannot. What?
Tua is not playing.
Can I
Yeah,
change
right.
my
I
pick real
can't
quick?
believe I'm picking New England, but I'm going to pick New England. I think they're awful. Their defense is okay, but Miami's season is spinning out of control, and now you got all the controversy of the Tua concussion thing. Is he ever going to play again? It has gone from everybody thinking Miami was going to the Super Bowl to all of a sudden, are they even going to get in the playoffs? And the wheels are falling off quickly for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Casey, you said you wanted to switch a pick.
Yeah, I'm taking Carolina. I went back and looked at I looked back at the last time the Panthers played Tampa, and it was 21-3, and that was when they were bad. And now they're good. Well, playing better.
They're not good.
They're playing better. So give me the Panthers.
Okay. Casey, New England, and Miami.
I'm taking New England. I think New England actually sneaks into the playoffs. So I'm taking New England.
Okay. Oh, God. This is ugly. I can't believe I'm taking this many favorites. I hate this. This is bad. I'm going to have a bad weekend. New England. Cleveland and Washington, -2.5 for the Fighting Wizards. Thom.
The Washington football Wizards were led by Ron Rivera. I'm taking them. Rivera.
Riverboat
Leader
Ron
of men.
All
gets
right.
it done. Give me Washington.
Washington. Oh, boy. Well,
You
we're all picking the same in these NFL games. Nobody's going to make up ground anywhere. I don't like this, but we wouldn't be true to our word if we started picking Cleveland now. So I can't. Carson Wentz is starting this game. Are we
You
really
know what?
picking?
Flip my pick. I'm taking Cleveland.
Oh, Thom.
Got to make up some ground somewhere, Thom. I love it.
That's exactly right.
So I'm going to stick with Casey here. I'm going to take Washington, although I hate this pick. Carson Wentz. I don't see an edge anywhere in these games. Carson Wentz, what the hell are we doing here? What are we doing? All right.
Hey, your guy had his chance. Heineke, you can't say he didn't get a chance.
It's true. You're right. That is true. All right. Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Ravens -2.5.
Without Lamar Jackson, I will take the men of aluminum. I think they've got something going on there, and they're not officially eliminated yet. They got something going on there with Pickett and that defense. Not going to be long before the men of aluminum again become the men of steel.
Oh, I don't know about that one. Let me quickly look at this real quick. Oh, man. It might actually be a system play to pick the Ravens. Oh, no, it's definitely moved a lot. I got to take the Steelers. I hate the Ravens with a burning passion. Everyone knows that. And they know my story. I'm taking the Steelers.
Steelers, all three of us. God, I hate the Steelers, but I'm going to take them too. Pitt, all the way across the board. And the last one, Cincinnati Bengals. That's the team we're going to cheer to victory. Touchdown, Bengals. Put some points up on that board and win a game for Cincinnati. Homer Show. Bengals,
Let's go.
Homer Show.
Homer Show. I mean, it's, just when you think your career has hit rock bottom, there's a piece of wood floor that opens up and you drop further down. And that's where we are.
Bengals +1 at home. Monday Night Football. Give me the Bengals.
Bengals for sure. Across the board, I'm sure. Because Casey, he would pick the Bengals to beat the 72 Dolphins.
I would. And, yeah, I'm taking the Bengals to win. I would take the money line. Don't give me that.
Yeah, I would too.
Whoa.
Yeah, sure.
I would too.
I'd
Yeah.
take money line.
At one,
Yeah.
when this thing opened around 2.5, maybe you could have bought up to 3. Like, that's different. But now that it's down to 1, yeah, if you're going to do this, just take the Bengals straight up.
All right, do we have Tim May yet, fellas?
We do not.
Do not yet.
Okay. He should be any minute now. Yeah, that old Lamar Jackson thing. I got to tell you, something doesn't feel right about this thing to me with him, because they originally thought, it would be a week by week kind of thing, which I think when you hear something like that, it leads you to believe, okay, this might last 1 week, maybe on the outside it lasts 2 weeks, and now all of a sudden you're drifting into a third and a fourth week.
Yeah.
And maybe they're looking at it like, hey, what's the point? The chances of us beating both the Steelers and the Bengals in back-to-back weeks is unlikely. If we lose once, it's over. So I don't know. Maybe they're just sitting him down, and they're going to wait either until that last game of the year if they have a chance to win the division, or maybe they just start with him in the playoffs because they're going to be the number 5 seed.
Well, it doesn't really matter who they have at quarterback because, I mean, their backup is 3-1 since he's been gone. Just saying. Just pointing that out there.
That's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah. But he's not Lamar Jackson.
The one thing I will say here, and I know this is switching topics just a little bit, but since we're on what we just did, this is our last show before betting becomes officially legal and launched on Saturday, Sunday morning, I guess it would be at midnight, tomorrow night, New Year's Eve. We have posted a Discord link in the chat. It's pinned to the top of the chat. If anybody uses Discord, that's where we have a lot of our betting picks in there. We created it yesterday. We're going to be using that a lot. So you can go in there. You stay tuned on Twitter. We do the Not Too Picky as well. All that stuff. So we have you covered. But it's here. Or 36 hours away.
Paul, if there is one bet that you would make, because you're a gambling kind of a guy.
I need that as a sound clip. Yeah. Uh-oh.
Thom?
You know what? If we never hear from Thom again, I'm glad that's the last line we heard. You're a gambling kind of guy.
Bet from that weekend, you've got in your pocket, and you're putting it all on one game. What would it be?
This weekend?
Yeah, either college, pro, whatever. Over the next 72 hours, we've got some great football. What would you bet on? Or would you bet on some tired Davidson, Coastal Carolina basketball game that you're staying up till 2 in the morning to watch?
No, it would be a college basketball game, but for something that the people will all watch and will all care about, I'm going to steal it from Trace. It would be Ohio State plus 6.5.
Really?
Yeah. I
can't believe the way you guys have jumped on the Buckeyes bandwagon.
Oh, trust me, I'm not on the bandwagon, but I'm on the betting bandwagon.
Okay. All right. Any luck with Tim yet or no?
Nope, he's not in yet.
Okay. Let me check and see if he sent me a message of some kind. They have all these weird, press conference stuff you have to go to and that kind of thing. So just trying to find out if he has sent me a message. No, I said 10:45 Eastern. I'll ask him.
Everett wants to know what's your go-to beverage this New Year's Eve, Thom?
Well, I got to tell you, I have been partaking in multiple beverages here over the last 3 days. I'm not proud of it. I'm not all that comfortable discussing it, but you got to go back to you got TCU tomorrow. We're going to a gathering with some other parents who have kids that go to school down there. So we're going to go to that for a while. And I mean, you got to pace yourself because tomorrow night, dialed in 8P, not missing a single snap. My main man, Luke, and I, and a few other folks going to be watching that Ohio State game. So probably just a cold beer, Paul, to usher in the new year.
All right.
So is the reason you're not comfortable discussing it is because you've been drinking White Claw? High Noon?
I had a friend of mine yesterday who opened up something called a Topo something. You know what I'm talking about?
Topo Chico.
Whatever it is. It's some kind of seltzer thing, right?
Good.
Oh, my God. It was a margarita in one of those, right? Isn't that what it was?
Yeah, it's good.
And I looked at him and I said, Walter, I said, I knew you win. Because we go way back. And I said, I knew you win. I knew when you'd mix in he grew up in Ireland. So, he's an Irish guy. And I said, I remember you'd have, a cold beer. You'd have an Irish whiskey and water. And now, knocking on the door of 60, you're drinking Topo something, whatever that is.
Thom, don't knock it till you try it. Give it a shot. Crack a cold one with the boys, a Topo Chico.
I mean, I'm looking at some of these guys on our chat. I mean, what happened to my boy, Sir Boy Wonder? He was always in my corner. And now he accuses me of not being fun. That nothing could be further from the truth in the entire world than that. Somebody else says, Emperor says, White Claw is too fizzy for him.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Well, those Topo things are all fizzy, right?
Yeah, they're good. They're good, Thom. I'm telling you. We sold them at the Bearcat Bash.
Okay.
They're good.
Speaking of the Bearcats, they got a win last night in basketball, right? Did you go to the game, Paul?
I did not go. I watched it. They were up by 17 in the first half, and then it got down to 6 with less than 5 minutes to go. Landers Nolly, he was the leading scorer. He had over 20. I think it was 22, 23. Played well. I thought Jeremiah Davenport, he was only 1 for 8 from 3. People didn't really like the shot selection, and I get that. But I thought Davenport started to fill his role a lot better than he has earlier in the year, and I think that was always the issue that fans had with him. But I thought last night, especially as the game went on and got in the second half, he was starting to make the right play, find the right spot on the court. It was a last season opener for UC in the AAC before they go to the Big 12. 1-0 in the American.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking with some buddies last night who live down in Austin, Texas. And we were talking about Cincinnati moving into the Big 12 last night. And of course, it's uncertain, at least right now, when Texas and Oklahoma are officially leaving the Big 12. We know they're leaving the Big 12, but what year they're actually going to move into the SEC and start competing in football and basketball and so forth. And they were talking about these guys are season ticket holders for the Texas basketball games. And they're very excited about their team. You know all about them, Paul.
Sure.
And all that kind of thing. Let me know when Tim is ready. If he's here, just jump in and interrupt me.
Yep.
They were talking about that league game in and game out watching basketball in the Big 12. Around Cincinnati, we're thinking about the football, it seems like, more times than not, and playing against some of these teams, the TCUs, the Oklahomas, the Texas, whatever of the world. But when you think about that basketball conference and the teams that are going to come rolling in here to play UC, I mean, every 3-4 days, man, you're getting a juggernaut.
Well, it's the best conference in college basketball, and right now in the Big 12, the worst team is Kansas State, and they're ranked 51st. Think about that. The worst team in the Big 12 is ranked 51st, so it doesn't, and they're 11-1 on the year. Think about that. The team with the worst record right now is Oklahoma. No, make it Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is ranked 29th, and they're 8-4. I mean, think about that. Think about the talent, the depth from the top to the bottom. Kansas 11-1, Texas 11-1. Now Texas has the issues right now with Chris Beard. Chris Beard not coaching the team after everything that happened with him. Who knows if he'll even be back, if they will let him go, if he'll be fired. We don't know what the situation.
Well, I was talking about this topic with these guys from Texas last night, and again, these are hardcore, live in Austin, not football guys. These are basketball guys. And the whole discussion came up on Beard. And, one of the guys is like, listen, his fiance, who I guess, you read the papers down there, has had some issues before, whatever they might be. I'm not saying that she's wrong. And if something did happen, he certainly should be prosecuted. But she is not going to file charges. I don't know if at that point in time, unless there's another witness that saw anything, or whether they were the only two people that were in the house at the time when all of this happened. If there's not another witness, there's no way the prosecuting attorney can bring this to a trial if you don't have a witness.
Well, the Texas state.
So then we get into like some of the cancel crowd that already is asking questions today. Why is Chris Beard still the coach at Texas? Well, I mean, right now, as we sit here, we don't have pictures of a woman who's been hit or a bloody nose or a swollen eye or a concussion. All of these things that if they happen, he's gone and should be gone immediately. But that's not what we have here. And you have people that want to fire this guy right now.
Yeah, there is a Texas state law, and I don't know if it's Texas or if it's the University of Texas, how they handle these kinds of cases individually. But just because she says she wants to drop it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen.
Right.
They still can and probably will prosecute this case. And like you said, maybe those pictures haven't been released, but sadly, this is all too often a case in these domestic violence issues where you have this kind of a thing where the spouse says, no, you know what, like it's okay, but really in the end it's not okay and it should be prosecuted and it should be taken seriously. So, I don't know. None of that has been released, and we'll see that as it goes along. But if that does happen and he does get fired, then you find yourself in a pretty precarious situation if you're Texas, where you just built this new arena. You had who was probably one of the top 5 coaches in college basketball right now, and somebody that had completely re-energized that program and that team. And think about if Texas football got back to where it had been in national prominence, right? Like Texas is back. Think about if Texas actually was back. The renovations they've done to the stadium there and how and everything and the facilities and to have Texas football and basketball be at the level that Texas basketball is at right now would just be incredible for the brand. And now to have this, I'm certainly they have the talent that you would think that they can overcome this at least for this year. But Chris Beard was on track to be maybe top 3 nationally as far as coaches go. He was right there at the top, and he was right on the precipice of winning a national championship back in 2019 with Texas Tech. Moves across the state and goes to Austin, and now has this happen. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty precarious situation for Texas. You have to handle this the right way. You're right that there are 2 sides to this where, you have to figure out what's right, and you don't want to get a situation like this wrong. I don't really have much more. They just better make sure. And again, I don't want anybody to misunderstand my thought on this. Any man that ever strikes a woman, that's it, you're done. Period. That's the way I've always felt about. And I think anybody who's been raised to understand and respect women, that's just a no-brainer. But if there are no pictures of signs of violence against this woman, and this woman is not going to press charges against this guy. And you're right. It doesn't mean that the prosecutors can't still try the case. But if the only 2 people in the room are him and her, you can put her on the witness stand and she'll just plead the 5th. She doesn't have to testify. She can just sit up there and plead the 5th Amendment. And Beard can do the same thing. Now, if there are more people that were there, it's a different ballgame. But there better damn sure be evidence that something went down in that place that night where you can fire a man from doing his job or from doing their job. Make sure that this isn't a rush to judgment sort of a thing where it's all about throw the book at Beard and we don't know all the facts. Maybe he is as guilty as the day is long, and if he is, then run his ass out of there in a heartbeat. Period. Yep.
All right.
So I don't know where. I don't know.
Tim's not around. I don't know either. I texted him, and I don't know what's going on. He had said to me that they had some issues where they were having to hang out in Atlanta in the Dome down there, and there were a lot of writers complaining about internet access and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know if some of that's going on or not.
I thought we could bring in Trace, and he could talk to you about the Georgia OSU game because he's studied this game religiously for about a month.
Okay, Tracer, how you doing, big boy? You all right?
Thom,
hang on one second.
How are you? I think Casey's working on trying to get me on screen, but nonetheless,
there
Casey's.
he is.
Can Thom hear me?
Tom can hear you.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right.
Yep.
Thom, that won't be the first
There
time
he is.
Ohio State lets you down this weekend. So hopefully that isn't a sign for things to come. Now, I will say we miss you around the office. It feels really nice here finally. Don't have any temperature problems, but I did get something this week that I decided to wear. And by the way, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I mean, I just was given this the other day. This is a prestigious award. This is something that not many people have in the world. This is called the Broken Club Invitational Champion. And I don't know if you can see or not, but my name is right there. So it's going to be on this desk for the next month until they come back and take it away, because you don't get these things that often, you know?
What is that for?
Some
what
don't get these for like many years, like 2014 type stuff. Say it again.
Where is I picked up on that. Some others may not have. What is that for? What is that given to you for? What did you
we go on a golf.
Or is this like a participation trophy, Hamilton, Ohio kind of thing?
No, participation trophies were only really made up by your generations of people. You know, our types of groups, our generation.
I agree.
Our generation, we don't do participation trophies. No, it's not a participation trophy. It's a golf trip. It just so happened that I got invited to go on a few years back from Sean. And, you know, the first year I went, they made me a B player. They would categorize you A, B, C, and D. They made me a B player. And I played relatively well. So there was a huge argument about, should Trace be an A player? Should he be a B player? I said, you know, I mean, I play golf like 10 times a year, guys. You guys are playing in leagues. You guys got like 100 rounds underneath your belt. I come in, I play like 6 times a year. I got 3 kids. I'm in the office all the time. But if you need to make me an A player because you guys aren't good enough, then go ahead. So they made me an A player this past year, and it just so happens that I took the trophy home as an A player. So,
amen, brother. Amen.
Tough sledding for them. So how confident are you in this game? In all honesty, I mean, I know that Ohio State fans.
I don't think that either side on this deal can say with full assurance that they feel very, very confident about this game, and the reasons are quite obvious. Georgia has surpassed Alabama as the king of the SEC, and that's saying something. You know, they're on this incredible win streak that they've got going on. They're undefeated this season. They've been ranked number 1, and rightfully so, all year long. But the team that was ranked right behind them all year long, and most people felt like would be the national championship game when all is said and done, instead it's a semifinal game, is Ohio State. And as far as talent, just pure talent, Ohio State is the only team that is in the same talent galaxy as Georgia. The offensive weapons, the firepower, all those kinds of things that Ohio State can bring into any game. Now, you know, I think it's fascinating, this whole Ryan Day thing, Trace, because the guy's 45-5, but there are people out there that think since Urban left, Ohio State has gotten soft. Now, I don't know whether that's fair or not. They don't run the ball like they used to, even with the fact that they have these 5-star recruit running backs running around all over the place, and the same thing on the offensive line. But that is a narrative out there that some people believe it's true. I don't know if it's true or not. But they got run over by Michigan last year. They got run over by Michigan this year, and those are the 2 biggest games they've played lately under Ryan Day. 2 years ago, he had a monster win in the college football playoff over Clemson, and then they got boat raced by Bama in the title game. But I don't think either team can walk in, even the most ardent fan of Georgia or Ohio State, and feel totally confident about winning this game. You got to agree with that, right, Trace?
I do agree with that. The one thing that I keep hanging my hat on, and as you know, there's this system that we really have become quite cult leaders to, and it all signs are pointing towards Ohio State, right? And I've been for the past month, as many have known. I seen it coming. As soon as they put the line out, I knew the deal. I've been trying to figure out, you know, what it is that maybe they see or they're hanging their hat on. And I think it is just the athleticism. It's the talent. It's the ability to be able to stretch the field. You're going to throw the ball downfield against young DBs that really haven't been proven all that what. I will say this. Chris Smith is a guy that's probably one of those most smart, best football players in the country. I don't know if he gets the name recognition per se, but you'll see in this game, Chris Smith will make some plays. Now, whether or not it's enough, I don't know. But you got Lassiter, who's a young DB for Georgia. You have Ringo, who made the big pick 6 last year for Georgia, who quite frankly, has become kind of like the poster child or the guy which everyone's going to point to. As soon as they come on the broadcast, they're going to talk about number 5 and Ringo for Georgia. They're going to show some highlights of him getting burnt, and then they're going to show a highlight of him making an incredible play against Tennessee in the corner of an end zone where he made an interception. I don't know how that's going to stack up for Georgia. It's hard to say. I do think this, as a Georgia fan, that's the one thing I hang my hat on. If there's a way in which possibly this game gets close towards the end, I just trust the culture that is at Georgia under Kirby Smart than I do at Ryan Day and Ohio State. It doesn't mean that Ohio State can't win. It just means that I do think there's a little more physicality. There's a belief system and toughness at Georgia that is light years different than it ever was when Mark Richt was there. And I love Mark Richt, but it's just a different breed of competitive nature that comes from Georgia. So I do think Georgia holds the edge in that category. I don't think Georgia's more talented than them, which I think is a little bit maybe of an indictment on Ryan Day, perhaps, if Ohio State were to lose this game again, because for all intents and purposes, Georgia has a lot of guys they're relying on that theoretically aren't going to be big-time NFL players, right? You have Ladd McConkey, who's a wide receiver, who's like a 2 or 3 star coming out of high school. You have Stetson Bennett. His story has been told 1,000 which ways. You know the story about him. And then on defense, like I said, you have a bunch of young guys. You had replaced like 9 guys last year that went to the NFL. Yeah. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to assume and imagine that you're going to be able to hold up the same way you would have last year with a historic defense. So Georgia fans are going to point to 2 things. One, in Kirby we trust. You're going to hear the saying of that. And the second thing is like, I don't know if I buy into the notion that Georgia's defense is the same as last year's, even though statistically it looks very much the same. You know what I'm saying? When you watch them on the field, they're not the same.
You're right. No way. That Georgia defense last year was one of the top defenses in the last 25 years in college football, and it proved out when virtually everybody and his brother that started for that team wound up. They set an all-time record for players drafted in a single draft from one school. Yeah, I mean, there's just no way. It's not to say those guys, like you said, they're so young. It's not to say that in a year or 2 from now that all those guys, when they're going to be in their final year of eligibility, or maybe a guy who wants to come out a year early, whatever it might be, maybe they'll be that same kind of defense. But they're not today, and they haven't faced a quarterback this year that's in the same league as C.J. Stroud. I mean, they simply haven't. The way the schedule lines up. Tennessee, the kid was having a great year, but he's not C.J. Stroud. I mean, Stroud's going to be a top 5 pick in the draft. They've not faced that kid. The kid at LSU's okay. He had his moments this year. The Oregon game was so long ago that I don't even put that on the radar because, that's back in August. So, you go through the season and I just, the Kentucky guy's okay. He's okay. But, he's not Stroud. He's not Williams. He's not, Duggan or any of these guys. So, I just think that this is the first time that they have seen a team with a big-time quarterback and without a doubt the best receiving core of any college football team in the country. Of that, there cannot even be debated. Their 3 top guys are like the Bengals of the NFL, in Igbuka, Fleming, and Harrison, who's the best receiver in college football. Now, I know they faced some great skill players this year. Kid at Tennessee's great, won the Blitnikoff Award, but I don't think they have faced a group of skill position players like this group. You watch every game. You agree with that?
I do. Yeah, I agree with that very much. And I don't want to sit here and sound like a shill for Ohio State because I can't stand Ohio State at the end of the day, and I hope Georgia pounds them. But I'm also going to face reality and understand that the truth is Tennessee is not a comparable product to Ohio State. The reason for that isn't because they don't have the skill guys. I think Tennessee has guys that are relatively pretty good. But the system in which Tennessee runs, they take really, really wide splits, and not to get knee deep in the X's and O's, but their receivers for the large part are standing 5 feet from the out of bounds marker when they line up. And the reason they do that is for a myriad of reasons. But at the same time, Ohio State runs a little more of like a pro style type of offense in regards to shotgun. I know that CJ isn't underneath center all that often, but one thing that's important for Ohio State, and I don't know whether or not, I know Mayan Williams was out one specific day for quote unquote he had some stomach issues or had a bug or whatever it was. I don't know, and I have a theory that they just use that as an excuse to keep him out of media days. That is maybe too big of a conspiracy theory. I'm not trying to cast the fact that they didn't want him to talk to the media, but it just so happened to be the same exact day that they were supposed to be talking to the media is the day that he had a stomach bug and didn't practice. So I would just say Ohio State's going to have to run the football a little bit. Not a ton, but just a little bit. And one thing I wanted to get your thought on, Thom, is this. I had heard yesterday a relatively decent, insightful thought that I want to see what your opinion is on this. Ryan Day was accused of what in the Michigan game? He was accused maybe of being too conservative. Would you agree with that?
I was at the game. I don't know. I think oftentimes when you're at a game, you don't have the full appreciation of the what's going on in the game because there's so much going on around you as opposed to maybe watching it on television where, you're sitting back there and you're taking in everything and they put up, what your drives have done and how many plays and the end result of the drive and all that kind. It just felt like they never, ever, ever after the first drive where they went right down the field and scored a touchdown. Then they had a couple of other plays deep in Michigan territory where this could have turned into a bloodbath. I mean, it looked like it was going to be an Ohio State rout. And then, Michigan hits the one big play. Ohio State has a drop pass. They have another drop pass. They have a third or fourth and one, and they can't convert. And the next thing you know, it just explodes the other way. Now, I don't know if I would have called his play calling conservative. To me, I think near the end of that season, it looked a lot like Stroud was playing not to lose the Heisman.
Yeah, so that's
this
the
is
thought.
a guy they got to cut him loose. I mean, they have just got to cut him loose. You're right; they're going to need to run the ball, and I think Mayan Williams is a hell of a back. I mean, Henderson has all the tools that the pro game might want, and I saw he's with the team after having his foot so forth. But I mean, Williams is a hell of a back, and he's strong, and he's a punishing runner, and I think they can run it. But when you've got guys like they've got, not even throw in the tight end Stover, and that's where Georgia has two phenomenal tight ends. But they have got to let if the protection can hold up, and I don't know a lot about Georgia's pass rush, but these receivers, these receivers, I mean. They've got to let Stroud put the ball in playmakers' hands, and Stroud is the best playmaker they have.
Yeah, so here's the thought with this is I do think when I say conservative, I don't mean that I meant more along the lines of the play calling. I do think when I watch Ohio State games from time to time, the whole the screen pass on the outside, I don't know if that's going to beat Georgia, quite frankly, because their defensive backs are very physical. They're going to be able to shed those blocks that the wide receivers are trying to make and then be able to just make a tackle for a 2 or 3 yard gain. I don't see that being successful. But I do think that there's this notion or this thought that what you were saying about C.J. Stroud, I felt maybe about Ryan Day. I think there was a lot of pressure on Ryan. Ryan knows how much that Michigan game means. He's had conversations, as you said, obviously, with Urban about just that specific game, and that's it. So there's no reason to believe that he didn't feel pressure. There wasn't some tense nature that when you go into that game, you might not play free and easy per se. And we all know as whether you played athletics even at a young age or at a high level, we all can agree that you play your best when you're playing free and easy, when you're not really thinking a whole lot, when you're just going out there and you're just letting it rip. I think Ohio State's best attribute in this game is that they genuinely do probably believe they were given a second life. They got nothing to lose. They're supposed to lose to Georgia. There's no reason that if you go out there and you lose, that you're the failures of the entire fan base. They're going to kill you for it, et cetera, et cetera. Now, of course, they're probably going to catch some heat for losing, but it's not like losing to Michigan 2 times in a row. It's not like Michigan losing to Michigan in your own stadium, right? So there's 2 different types of pressure. This is not the same pressure that they had when they played against Michigan. I expect, and I would be shocked, if Ohio State doesn't stretch the field vertically and try to make more and more throws down the field and just live with the result. If they can't pass protect long enough to do that, then obviously that'll be an issue. But it's not like Ohio State doesn't have an offensive line that isn't capable of obviously pass protecting, and they have guys that are going to play in the league on that offensive line. So I would just say those are the things you hang your hat on if you're an Ohio State fan, and the thing that I hang my hat on as a Georgia fan is just the fact of what you said at the beginning. Is the culture of Ohio State with Ryan Day truly tough? Are they really physical? Do they really want to get punched in the mouth for 4 quarters, or is the third or fourth quarter going to roll around and Georgia's just going to decide to run counters, run pitches to the outside, have pulling guards coming down on those, those linebackers who aren't all that big per se, right? I mean, that's the one thing that's changed really with a lot of college football is linebackers aren't built the way they used to be built because they got to cover in space now. So Georgia tries to take advantage of that. They run counters, and then in the third and fourth quarter, you get tired of blocking those guys. You get tired of trying to shed those blocks, and we'll see if they're physically tough enough to be able to keep up. But if this game goes to 35 to 40 points, I've never seen Georgia win a game like that, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
The last time I've seen Georgia win a game like that is when they played Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl, and that was obviously an entirely different team. I love Stetson Bennett to death. Stetson Bennett has scored 50 points from time to time. They have played really good offense from time to time, but they've never been in a game where they've had to match score for score time and time again, right? I'm not saying they can't do it, but I will say as a Georgia fan, I've never seen them do it, and largely because they never had to do it, to be fair to them. I mean, when your defense only gives up 10 on average 10 points a game, there's a reason that you don't have to go blow for blow with many teams. So
anyway. and in closing, the one thing about that I read the other day, and I'm not going to be able to rip this stat off the top of my head, but I was very surprised by this. You heard Mac Engel talk earlier how 12 of the 16 games have been larger decisions when all was said and done of 7.5, 8 points. That a lot of these semifinal games have been blowouts. But the other note that I had read about it though is something like in 13 of the 16. The winner has scored 30 or more. And, I mean, if I'm an Ohio State fan and I'm just looking at – and I'm looking for anything to hang my hopes on, right? If I'm looking at that, I'm saying to myself, if I were a betting man, I would bet that my team has a better chance to score 30 than they do. Whether that's true or not, if people agree with that or not, right. I don't know. I mean, the Michigan thing, they can say, well, wait a minute, they gave up whatever it was to me. If you really watched that game, it was 3 just bust open plays on an all-out blitz where the runner, Donovan Evans, goes 70, 50, whatever it was. That wasn't a defense that just got carved up the entire game or shredded. You take that one out of the mix. Jim Knowles done a nice job his first year there as the defensive coordinator. But, I mean, this is Georgia. And they're the number 1 team, and they're the defending champs for a reason. I'm just glad it's finally here, right? I mean, we've been waiting forever for this thing.
Yeah, they got college football, and again, we've talked about whether we like the 12-team playoff or don't like it. I think I'm starting to come on the bandwagon of liking it just because it is tiresome to wait this long for another meaningful game. It needs to be fixed in some way, some fashion. I don't know exactly how you fix it when you only have 4 teams in a playoff and you're traditionally playing around the quote-unquote New Year's. This is a little off topic, and Tom, you may know this answer, and I probably should know it, but why do they wait so long? Is it just because of tradition in the past? Is it because of finals? Do you know the answer to that, or is that just kind of like, well, it's the way it's always been done?
I think it's the way it's always been done. And, I've had people ask me, and I've wondered the same thing. We had somebody on the chat either earlier today or yesterday that asked the question, and I never got around to answering it. But I have always been dumbfounded, and I used to talk to Barry Alvarez about this all the time, legendary coach at Wisconsin, and later became the athletic director of Wisconsin. And that is, I've never understood why the NCAA can run a brilliant basketball tournament, the best tournament there is in all of sports. They can run a Division I AA, a Division II, a Division III football tournament and do it beautifully. It doesn't get the pub, obviously, of these kinds of big D1 schools. We understand that. But I've never understood why or how it ever came to the point. There's probably been a book written about it, and I should know the answer. But I've never known why the NCAA has not been able to run a tournament like that for football at the Division I level And it's gotten to a point now where outside of the rules and regulations of the NCAA overseeing, schools from cheating or whatever it might be in football, they basically have no other control over the whole football world in the college game anymore. It's now the college football playoff. It was the BCS. It's a different entity altogether that runs and negotiates television contracts and all these kinds of things with university board presidents on the board. And so, I don't know why they wait so long. I think it takes away from what you could have. It's obviously not going to be like this once they get to a 12-team playoff. They're going to be playing in December if you want to wrap it up by January, because you can't ask the kids to now go into February like they do, say, the pro game before you get to a title game. That's not going to happen.
No, and I just wonder if that the effects of finals is any different than when that was always been the excuse. It's always been the excuse not to do things in the NCAA's perspective for football, because they've always tried to use the excuse, I called it an excuse, about the kids' safety, as they would say, and then the kids' academic rigor that they have to go through. We can all laugh at that a little bit. I know that that's probably like something to stand behind and make an excuse for as to why they don't do it. But the truth is that college basketball kids are playing, they're playing games on Christmas Eve and Christmas, and it's like, so what about those kids? They're not, getting the same
and
treatment.
What are you saying is a governing body? I mean, it always used to blow my mind because, the NCAA is basically saying, by saying what you just said, and you're 100% accurate about the academics or the physical nature of the sport and the risk of injury and the health of these kids. Oh, so in other words, it's okay for the Division I and AA and Division II and Division III kids. You can go dump all over them and forget about their grades or their academics or their health in playing more games. But we're not going to do it for the big guys?
Right.
I mean, come on. You can't have it both ways. If you want to say across the board, we're not going to do this at all of these different levels because we're worried about health and we're concerned about academics, that's fine. But you can't put on the football tournament in 3 or 4 other different levels of football, run the thing, do what you just said, and not do it for the Division I guys and have any credibility at all. You just can't do it.
Last point to make with you, when you were obviously within those kind of meetings for media and et cetera, the demands, do you think the demands of kind of a different type of did we lose them?
No, I'm here.
No? Okay. Do you think the demands of the different types of kind of media coverage that you would traditionally get, these bigger bowl games, impacts those kids at all? Or do you think they're just ho-hum at this point, not that big of a deal? Because they don't get this much media coverage.
I don't know if you saw the article that was written a day or two ago about C.J. Stroud and the amount of hate that has been directed at him on social media. And look, in a day and age where let's start with this. C.J. Stroud is going to be a multimillionaire in about 5 months from now. Okay, so, he's been blessed with an incredible mom, single-family household, raised him and his sisters the right way and all those kinds of things as a California kid. He's come to Ohio, and he's been an unbelievable player at Ohio State. The best 2-year quarterback they've ever had there, without a doubt. But he's lost to Michigan twice. And the amount of hate that this guy deals with, apparently, in social media, and I don't know why he just doesn't turn it off and ever read it again. I don't get it. But to answer your question in a roundabout sort of way, there is so much attention on these kids, and maybe you're not going to feel sorry for them because you'll say, oh, hey, it comes with a territory. You know what? It doesn't come with a territory for 18 and 19 and 20-year-old kids. It doesn't. But it's reality, unfortunately. And I don't think because of the amount of money and the exposure and the television and all the things now, the NIL that come with it, I think it's going to become more pressure packed. And I marvel at all these kids, not just the CJ Strouds, but the Stetson Bennett's, whoever the guy is at Tennessee that's a defensive back that gets burned in a game against Alabama with a minute to go. There's a soft spot in my heart for all of these kids because that's really what they are. If you have a kid who's in college, which we do, these are still incredibly young people. And the pressure that comes with these guys and the coverage of the buildup that we've been talking about, Trace. The buildup of this game of Ohio State, Georgia. And that's why you're like, finally, it's here. And they can just go play the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's gotten to the point where on my end, obviously, as you know, it would be really difficult for me. I would be lying if I said it didn't mean a whole lot. But at the same time, the whole Georgia situation, if they didn't win last year, this would have been the worst 20 days of anticipation towards a game that I've ever had. It's just so long that I wonder what these college kids, how they handle that pressure. Because it's one thing. The best saying, as they say in baseball, right, is like you have a bad game. The best thing about baseball is you play the next day. You know, you get rid of that. You get rid of the thought that just happened yesterday. That's one thing that Ohio State's had to live with for a month and a half. We'll see how they handle it, but it feels like the whole Michigan thing's been looming over their head. The one thing that you can kind of have a little bit of solace in if you're a Buckeye fan is Georgia was that same exact team last year. I mean, they were supposed to be this darling. They were really, really good. Best defense maybe ever in college football history, blah, 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 blah. Alabama goes out and torches them. Then they're told how good they really aren't, and then they're told how they're a bunch of frauds, their most overrated defense, and then they go out and they just hammer Michigan, and obviously they win the national championship. So if you're an Ohio State Buckeye fan, I think you're in a pretty damn good spot because you get the best of both worlds. You get the idea that your team hasn't really been told they're very, very good, and on top of that, they feel like they probably have nothing to lose. So we'll see how it goes. We'll have fun talking about it on Monday, I'm sure.
All right, brother.
And we'll see what happens. But enjoy your New Year's down there. Hopefully you stay warm.
Happy New Year's, and Happy New Year's to everybody that's been on the chat and has been with us since we launched this show in August. I can't thank all of you enough. We have our good days and bad days just like everybody else. We're sure enjoying it. Trace, I'm thankful for you and Paul and Casey and Brandon and all the guys there, Sean and Reed. And it's just a great family to be a part of and extremely fortunate and grateful and can't wait to see everybody. God bless the rest of 2022, and let's make 23 the best year ever.
All right, Tom, the last question we have for you. The chat's probably going to chime in on this as well. We just enabled things called super chats today and super stickers. I do believe, don't hold me to this, I do believe you can make custom stickers that people can use. Do you think that Leader of Men should be made into a custom sticker that people can use with inside the chat? Now, I know right now you don't know exactly what that means, but all the different types of stickers, think of a sticker like an emoji, and we make custom emojis that people can use inside of the chat. What are some of the phrases? Chat will probably help with this as well. What are some of the phrases or the stickers that we could make to perhaps give to the chat and let them use from time to time? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, Leader of Men is without a doubt right up there near the top, or a real man. That's that's another one we could have in there. I think that no participation trophies. That's got to be another one.
Tired.
No snowflakes. No snowflakes. Right? No China dolls. We're not having any of that stuff. I learned that from my main man, Chris Spielman. No China dolls allowed.
Everett chimes in with politics in all capital letters.
Oh, come on, Everett. Stop it.
All right. Well, nonetheless, enjoy your time down there. Hopefully you don't have a whole lot of fun around 10:30, 11 o'clock on New Year's Eve.
Oh,
but
it's going to be
that,
celebration time in Buckeye Nation after a big TCU dub. Go Frogs!
We'll see how it goes. All right, Tom.
All right, buddy.
Thank
See you,
you,
man.
Are you coming to me, Casey?
Are we?
Are you gonna?
Let's transition. You want to go over there?
Yeah, I was gonna say we could send it over to.
You can send it to us.
Send it to a commercial, and then we'll get our regular setup, and then we'll have a blast because I think this is gonna be one of the most spirited shows.
Let's rock and roll, baby,
as they say.
Let's go.
In Chatterbox Sports. We'll be right back. Don't leave. You don't want to leave.
At United Dairy Farmers, we've perfected freshness in our family bakery, where we use only the finest ingredients, like thick, high-quality glazes on our signature donuts, before delivering them fresh from bakery to store every day. UDF, made for you.
If your AC or furnace is struggling, Turn to the experts at Bartell's Heating and Cooling. Their certified technicians get the job done right the first time, and if you need a new unit, Bartell's will give you upfront pricing with no hidden fees. Plus, ask about Bartell's 0% interest financing for 60 months. Learn more at bartellsheatingandcooling.com. Bartell's Heating and Cooling, for a comfortable way of life. Eli's Sports Bar and Grill, proudly sponsoring high school football with 3 locations in Mason, Liberty Township, and Ross, Ohio. Our 10-foot screens guarantee a great view from every seat in the house. Eli's Sports Bar and Grill, the best place in Cincinnati for sports, food, and fun.
Where can you turn when you're in pain? Turn where more high school, college, and pro athletes turn. Where your neighbors and weekend warriors turn. Turn to Beacon Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and get superior care on your schedule. That's the Beacon difference.
Check out our fresh arrivals at Jake Sweeney Used Cars. Over 250 used vehicles weekly. All makes, all models. From economy to luxury, Jake Sweeney, the original used car superstore.
Hello and welcome to Box Lunch. Come on, let's get that J bar up. There it is. Look how pretty that is. It really is a good looking thing.
It does help. I mean, if it's not there, it doesn't look good.
It does look good, guys. Thank you for joining us here. We're going to get into some college football. Obviously, the semifinal is tomorrow. Talk about some of the big NFL news, both here in Cincinnati and elsewhere. And then we'll just kind of break it down as we're kind of moving into the new year. Obviously, sports betting is going to be legal. We're 2 sleeps away from sports betting. There's going to be some college basketball game tomorrow going on past midnight or maybe overtime that you got to scratch the itch on just to get it over. And don't be like you guys, as you're the one who's bet pretty much every day for the past 3 weeks, and I haven't even placed a bet for quite some time here. Trace.
Get this, Hawaii.
Oh, baby.
They play Cal Poly at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Can we get that past the finish line?
We got it with that. Is that the latest college basketball?
That's the latest Eastern time zone game. Cal Poly and Hawaii, they tip at 10. That's appropriate. That's appropriate.
That seems like a live bet. Just a nice over to get it over, maybe just a little bit.
That's when you know you probably should consider calling the 1-800 number. There is something called responsible gambling. We should get into that right now just for a small time. You gamble what you can afford to lose. It's entertainment. It's as simple as that. 95% of people, I don't know what the real stat is, so this is a made-up stat. I would say 95% of the people gamble responsibly. There's probably 5% of the people that are out there trying to make their mortgage. You're not going to be making a ton of money to where you can just throw away the part-time job and just start gambling. That's not how this works. But if you're looking to have some fun at 10 o'clock on a Saturday and there's nothing going on, throw your $25 down on Hawaii. Are they still called like the
Rainbow Warriors?
Rainbow Warriors.
Yeah. Throw you some money down the Rainbow Warriors and enjoy your night.
There's going to be nothing more fun. You talk about it being entertainment. There's going to be nothing more than throwing $10-15 on the over, the live line over on that Rainbow Warriors Cal Poly game after the college football semifinals wrap up. You just be like, all right, let's get this inch in. It's officially live. Xander X with a super chat.
No doubt. Didn't even put in a message, which you can do.
That's
by the way,
that's the record too.
That's our first non-inside job.
Xander holds the record at 2, and this is what we're gonna do here. I'm being serious. This isn't a bribe. Just saying, Xander, if you put in. Do me a favor. I'm gonna put in an email. You email me your address and the size of a shirt, and when we finally get around to making some merch, which is coming soon, I'll send you one in the mail for free. How about that?
Look at that.
Emperor Starstream.
It's not going to be the case for the rest of the people, just so you know. This isn't going to be like throw $2 in the chat. Next thing you know, we're sending out 50 shirts. Just saying.
Emperor Starscream with a quote that I want to get tattooed on my body. Sex, drugs, and gambling can ruin your life or make it fantastic. Just have some self-control. That's an awesome Way to live. Get that tattooed
Put
right
that on
on
a shirt.
Right on. Yeah, put it on a shirt. Put it on a shirt. We'll get that rolling. All right. So you obviously broke down the Ohio State-Georgia game. It was clear. It was like really watching an insider.
I bet it was.
It was great. I mean, the way you dissected that game, the ins, the outs, the what have yous. I know exactly what to expect tomorrow at 8 p.m. But let's go into the earlier game, TCU and Michigan. And I feel like most people, when they talk about this game, are already counting out TCU. And that is because of what Michigan did against Ohio State in the final game of the regular season. And then also TCU has had this almost fraudy quality to them all season long, similar to a team that we see in the NFL every week, Leif Erikson's Vikings.
Yeah.
Right. They come from behind, Cinderella story. But there's got to be some way that you quantify what TCU has done in the fourth quarter this year. There's got to be a way that just they've been able to come back time and time again. They're resilient, and that means something in this game.
You know what I think it is?
What is it?
You ready for some more insightful,
Love insight.
deep
Love
drilling
insight.
analysis?
Love insight.
They wear purple.
Is that right?
That's
Purple?
all you got to do. You wear purple, and you will not look the part, but you'll win ball games.
The three most.
Is that right, Paul?
Exactly
I mean, look at
right.
Paul. Put the camera on Paul for a second. Look at Paul. He's wearing purple. He certainly doesn't look the part. But when he starts talking, you start to realize immediately this guy's super insightful, can make plays, and he wins.
Where's purple? The three
Look at that.
most resilient sports teams of all time have worn purple.
Let's hear him.
The Leif Erikson's Minnesota Vikings this year.
That's one.
Sonny Dykes, leader of men.
That's two.
TCU
Leader of men.
Horned Frogs. And then the 2018 Bluffton Beavers baseball team.
Oh, brother.
First team to make postseason history.
Reed Mouse is proud of that. And you should be, Reed. You should be. You led
Absolutely.
the Bluffton Beavers to their first postseason.
All-time leading hitter in Bluffton baseball history.
I love how you say that when that's not true. But
We don't know. Max Duggan. So I've long thought that if you've got the better quarterback on the field, more often than not,
this is a hot take.
you're going to win the ball game. And Max
knew it.
Duggan is the better quarterback. And that being said, people aren't giving the Horned Frogs the time of day.
I did something to my microphone over here.
Baby.
But
Max Duggan is a ball player. He's a gamer. He's a team that leads this resilient bunch. You gotta, I mean, that means something, right? The fact that they're resilient, the fact that they've got the better quarterback, and still teams are not giving them the time of day. Everyone's already just written in as I've got to stall for Trace to hook back up his mic. I love how you can see this whole thing.
Oh, this is a me and Casey situation.
But yeah, that was like over a
Wait,
month
Casey,
ago.
what?
Zach Murray, you're absolutely right. I'm the best hitter in the studio. No doubt about that. But Max Duggan, come on. That's got to give them a chance to win this game. What do you think TCU's odds are? Like, seriously, do you think Michigan's in? Or do you think TCU, this is going to be a good game?
here, I'll be honest. I've watched an incredible amount of college football. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'm also going to say that I know more than the average person.
More than me.
TCU cannot stop the run. And that's the problem that I have with TCU.
Blake Corum's out.
Do I think it doesn't matter? It doesn't matter. Blake Corum didn't play against Ohio State. They ran the football. Like, they're built to run the football at Michigan. That's what they've decided to do as a program. They've built their identity around being physical, similar to Georgia. And at the end of the day, TCU's not built right now to probably handle that over 4 quarters. The only chance TCU has, in my opinion, is to quite frankly, catch lightning in a bottle, score a couple quick touchdowns, and then force Michigan to feel like they got to do something that they normally wouldn't do. I don't think that they're going to do that. I think that Michigan's just going to bully them a little bit, quite frankly. I don't know if it'll be a blowout, because I do think that Max Duggan has some talent at wideout. Mm-hmm. I like Max. I think their offense is relatively capable of putting up some points against Michigan. I just think at the end of the day, football is such a simple game. I mean, it really is. We try to make it more complicated than it really is. It really just comes down to who can block on the offensive and defensive line, who's the dominant factor in that part of the game, and then who can tackle. Like, who's the better tackling defense? And that sounds so dumb. It sounds like one of those things that, you get made fun of for saying. But the game's still just getting a guy on the ground. That's all it is. Get the guy on the ground. And Michigan's going to do a much better job of that. And I have a fear that it's going to look like Alabama, UC last year. Just one team looks much, much, much more dominant in regards to physicality.
Just hand the ball off 5 yards. Hand the ball off 6 yards.
That's what's going to happen with the guys in purple. I really believe that. Kansas State did it. Also, if you think TCU is just going to throw the football on Michigan, just going to throw it around the field, dominate them, blah, blah, blah. Well, Ohio State's got a pretty damn good team that could do that, and they weren't able to do that. So, hey, I really do think that things are lining up. Maybe there's conspiracy theories. Maybe the games are fixed. I don't know. But Ohio State
rigged?
Ohio State
college
v.
football
Michigan.
rigged?
Ohio State v. Michigan.
Tinfoil hats.
Is
College
probably going to happen. We'll see. I love Georgia more than any team. I am going to be a freaking mess come Saturday night. And I'll tell you right now, I hope I'm wrong. I would love nothing more to come back in here and just say, I'm an idiot. I knew Georgia was going to bully them. What a weak, disgusting, non-physical program Ryan Day's running up at Ohio State. I would love to say that. Don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. And I will say this. If you want to put your tin foil on, like bacon putting in subs.
Oh,
my goodness.
I was going to say bacon.
$5 whole dollars?
That's 5 pieces of American currency into the chat.
That's like 1 pound of bacon.
We are cancel the partnerships.
Yeah, we don't need it.
Don't even need them.
Don't need it.
We're not going to be a shill for anybody.
Nope.
We're the man of the people. They're not even putting in questions.
Yeah, I think I ruined that. You could put a quote in when you put that super chat in.
Right, you just send a message in with it. Having said that, back to this TCU talk and Ohio State talk / college football being rigged. Who played in the Final Four last year, guys? Just saying. Go on, give it to me.
UC, anybody? Alabama.
No. Oh. We're talking about. I'm sorry, college basketball. If college sports isn't rigged, this isn't serious, by the way. But let's just play this role for a minute.
Duke, UNC.
Duke, Carolina played. Just saying. Then what happened?
When we get
Kansas
Xavier
won it all.
UC Final Four, the world will implode.
Xavier UC for the national championship. Michigan, Ohio State for the national championship.
Yeah.
I think if you put Xavier and UC in the tournament at all in this town is banana land.
Isn't it wild they've never played in the tournament?
It's going to happen
Never
soon.
once.
I promise you, if they both have an opportunity to play, the committee will do that now. I don't think the committee used to do things like that. I genuinely think back in the day when I don't say morality was high, but back in the day when it was like, let's try to strategically place them exactly where they belong to go, etc. I am telling you 100% now, they are looking at TV contracts. They're looking at ways in which they can generate some revenue. And they're like, how could we possibly make some interesting matchups? They do it every year in the tournament now. I'm telling you, go back and look at the tournaments. There's storylines every which way possible that they try to line up.
Well, think back to
you're selling a product.
Think back to 2018. 2018, Xavier and UC, they were on the same side. They weren't in the same bracket, but they were on the same side. Xavier was the 1 seed. Cincinnati was the 2 seed. Cincinnati, I know nobody wants to hear this in the chat. Cincinnati doesn't blow a 22-point lead to Nevada. They're in the Final Four. Xavier doesn't blow a lead to Florida State on that phantom foul call on J.P. McCura. There's a chance they're in the Final Four.
He called it a phantom foul call.
He had to slip that in. He had to slip that in.
Little slip
well, there were
phantom.
2. I only said one of them. There were 2 phantoms, but there was only one of them that was real egregious. I'll show you the replays. But anyway, there you go. There's Xavier and UC in the Final Four. Nope, didn't happen. They tried. Maybe it'll happen one day.
J.P. McCura got exposed. Wouldn't it be the first time he was exposed? All right, let's go to these college brands, the biggest college brands here in NCAA, because you were talking about how they kind of sometimes get these storylines going together.
Yep.
Thom on the show earlier this week mentioned that Ohio State football is the biggest brand in college sports. I have a hard time believing that.
You don't believe that?
I don't believe that. I don't think that people in California give really 2 rats about Ohio State football. I do think they care about Alabama football.
I think you're wildly missing this one. This is a miss for Reed Mouse. I mean, Ohio State football is arguably the biggest brand in the sport. And I would also say that there are people in Arizona and California that are rooting for Ohio State, that have become Ohio State fans just because of probably the Rose Bowl at the time. They grew up, they see the Rose Bowl. Who's in the Rose Bowl all the time? Ohio State's in the Rose Bowl all the time. So I'm going to root for those guys. And people like winners, and Ohio State's been at the top of the mountain a few times. And I think that it's one of those things where it's a classic program. It is what it is. You guys are going to have to talk for a minute because I'm done holding this microphone.
Buckeyes, best brand and team in the land. Let's go, Everett Henry. Now, I disagree with that statement, but you put in the super chat. We are just, you pulled the strings when we sing out the catchphrase. Let's go. Everett Henry's let's go is actually the best catchphrase in the chat going so far.
The all caps.
The all caps, let's go,
it's
politics,
the best.
religion, without a doubt. It's the best. So thanks, Everett Henry, for that. But so while Trace is doing this, I got on Wall Street Journal. They have college football value. So which teams bring in the most revenue?
What we got here?
You want to guess these top five? It doesn't have to be in an order, but if you want to guess the top 5 biggest brands in college football.
Texas.
Texas is number 1.
Yep. It's gonna be a fun game. These are. Can you give me the name or give me the reason as to why they're on this list again? Like,
they bring in the most money.
Okay. Notre Dame's on the list.
Notre Dame's 5.
Alabama's number 2.
Alabama's 3.
Ohio State.
Ohio State's 2. Missing one.
Baby, we're getting it. We're missing one.
Missing one. There's a couple candidates that you could throw into that one.
Oh man, Paulie, you got any thoughts on this? Did you look it up? Do you know the answer?
No, I don't know the answer.
All
we're
right,
looking for number 4.
Yeah, we're looking Texas. Out of the top 5, it's
Texas,
Texas, Ohio State, Michigan, and Notre Dame have been named. There's one more.
All right,
in the top.
Paulie,
me and
listen, we have not missed. We have not missed yet. You know how hard this would be.
There's like 3 candidates that
we've
that
named
clearly
4 already that we're in top 5.
Okay,
me and you got to think through this for real.
All right, it's got to be out of the SEC, right?
I don't know if it needs to be out of the SEC. I'll be honest.
Texas
Michigan's
A&M,
up there.
Texas A&M or Florida is what I'm thinking.
Ooh,
thinking of those 2.
I don't think Florida's bigger than.
Is Florida bigger than A&M?
I don't think Florida's bigger than A&M. I don't know if. Are we missing a USC type place? Just saying. This is tough.
East or West?
Michigan have any chance in hell of being in there?
Michigan's in there.
No. I don't think we said Michigan yet.
You guys have not said
Michigan. We've not said
yet.
Michigan yet.
Oh, we didn't? I thought you just said Michigan.
Listen, we have Texas at 1. I think
State
Alabama is what, 5?
3.
Okay, Alabama's 3, Ohio State's 2, and then
Notre Dame's 5.
Notre Dame was 5. Oh my gosh.
Is it
5, 4?
This is tough.
3.
All right, I think it's either going to be USC, Michigan, or an A&M. I'm going to let Paul pick.
I'm gonna pick A&M, but what I'm worried about with A&M is that I don't know how many.
How is Texas and Texas A&M both going to be?
I don't know how many non-A&M alumni care about Texas A&M. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what it's going to have to be too.
Like, because Ohio State has a ton of sidewalk alumni, Walmart fans.
Oklahoma's another big brand, but I don't know if it. I honestly, how many guesses should we get? I mean, are we only going to get one?
Wait.
I'm giving you one guess because I feel like it's
okay. Is it east or west of the Mississippi?
East. It's not USC or Oklahoma.
Okay. So that knocks out, and it knocks out Texas A&M too.
It's going to be Michigan.
So it's going to be Michigan or I still like Florida.
You still like Florida. It's not Nebraska, right? Nebraska's been popped up in the chat here. Clemson, no way.
Michigan? Is it Michigan or
It's
Florida?
got to be. Well, let's just go with Michigan because honestly, I feel like that's the one that
biggest
would hurt
stadium.
the most.
All right, Michigan.
Michigan's correct.
Hell yeah, Paul.
Look at us.
Get fired up,
Let's
Paul.
go. Look
Now,
at us.
Now, I will say that even though this came from the Wall Street Journal, there's some pretty egregious teams that aren't even like in the top 25. Like USC isn't in the top 25. A&M was 12. Georgia was 6. Oklahoma 7. Auburn 8. LSU 9. Tennessee 10. Those are all fine.
That's absurd that the SEC has that many.
Out of the top 25 teams on this list, 17 are from the SEC or the Big Ten.
It just means more.
It just means more. Yawn. Sir boy. Am I the only one? I obviously you wanted Georgia in the championship, but come on, you want to talk about creating a marquee game.
No.
Michigan, Ohio State
No.
in the championship.
No.
Paul doesn't want it because
It's Ronaldo versus Messi.
No, because there's a chance that Ohio State wins that game, and we can't have that. No.
Listen, you got
Now,
you don't
if
win
you told me I'll
$100
take-
at the blackjack table without putting $100 on the table, brother.
No. I don't think I can risk that.
He's right.
I don't think we can risk that.
Can you imagine if Michigan beat Ohio State
Oh,
in
well,
the national championship twice in
If
the
it was
same
a
year?
North Carolina Duke, because North Carolina forever now has the upper hand in that rivalry over Duke. Forever. They beat Coach K in his last home game in front of a billion alumni sitting courtside in one of the most popular college basketball games probably of the last decade. And then they beat him again in the Final Four, and you're telling me Michigan could do that in the national championship?
Yeah, like that would be held over Ohio State's head. And listen, if you guys haven't figured this out yet, there's not a whole lot of Ohio State homers going on the Box Lunch show. Now the show before this, there's an Ohio State homer, but there's what I would define myself as an Ohio State hater. Because that's what happens when you grow up in this area and you're not an Ohio State fan.
Right.
You just grow to resent them a little bit because they constantly win and they're everywhere. So you just grow a little bit of disdain for them. And not that it's fair. It's probably unfair, but just so be it.
Got guys like Sam Block as a fan.
Have
you ever seen a bigger potato than that guy?
Who?
Sam Block. You've not seen him?
No.
All right, Casey. You're going to have a producer job today.
Yep.
I need you to get on Twitter and look up Sam Block. And then you just scroll through his tweets, find one that you think's hilarious. Because there are a lot of them that are hilarious, really ridiculous. Find one and just put it on the screen randomly whenever you get to it.
Block.
I think it's Sam Block. You might be able to type in Sam Ohio State. You'll find him quickly.
Speaking of Zach Murray's Ross Rams, you were talking about how football is a simple game. The Fresh Prince of Ross, Ohio. Kenyon Cummins, head football coach. Favorite quote I've ever heard about football.
Let's hear it.
It's a simple game made complicated by stupid people. I love it. That's what happens when you run the triple option. Love it. All right.
Who's Isaiah Prince?
That is Zay, and that is who the Bengals are going to start at right tackle this Monday. And what about Casey? Did you notice that Joe Burrow kind of broke that news? Did you guys see that?
He did.
Joe Burrow kind of underhandedly broke that news. They were asking about what they think about the right tackle situation. He just said, "I believe in Zay," and everyone's like, "Whoa, wait, Adeneji's not starting? It's Isaiah Prince." So Joe Burrow broke that news. Do we have faith in Isaiah Prince? Casey, has he started before?
Yeah, he started in the Super Bowl.
Love it. 3 sacks given up, right?
No, he gave up 7 pressures.
Even better.
Hey.
Not a lot of faith.
He literally had a grade of 2.
2 out of 100?
Yeah. He had a grade of 2.
Could have been worse. Could have been 0.
If you're gonna fail the test, what's it matter
Yeah.
what grade you get after you get below 60? It's all the same. All a big fat F. We're not weighting these.
Has there been a bigger scam, which you have a scam of the day later, but has there been a bigger scam than the grading scale of the American education system? Comparatively speaking to life. In all honesty. In life, if you work hard and you do a good job, I don't know, 60% of the time, you're doing pretty damn good.
So I went to private school for 12 years. And I don't know if you realize this. We had a different grading scale than you guys.
Oh, you guys. You hear this? The little peasants. Us little public school peasants.
So public
you
school.
hear them talking down to us public school
this.
peasants like that. We had a different grading scale than you guys.
Can you listen to me?
Go ahead.
Public schools did a 10-point grading scale. Private schools have an 8-point grading scale.
No, they had to make it a little bit better. You know what private school folks are, Casey? You said it the other day. They're like LeBron. They're just one-uppers.
A 76 at a public school
one-uppers
is a C+. A 76 at a private school is a D+. It's a whole letter. 84 is a C.
Yeah. Sounds dumb to me.
Yeah, I hated it.
All right, he's got a quote here of Sam Block. Go ahead. Let's see what Sam said. Let's just play the old Sam ridiculous take of the day. I can't. It's hard for me to see it from here and read it, but Casey, go ahead and read that.
It's on your screen.
It is now, yes. Very few human beings on planet Earth who can sling it better than Justin Fields. Jesus Christ. I can't even with this guy, man. I mean,
I'll give Bears fans
I am
credit.
so tired of hearing about Justin Fields being even remotely good at throwing a football.
I'll give Bears fans credit. They're fully going into Justin Fields as the guy. And that is just because they've had years and years and years of bad quarterback play. Just terrible quarterback play. I mean, Jay Cutler being maybe their greatest quarterback ever is saying something. Because Jay Cutler was a fine quarterback, but, man, when he's the best ever, that's tough. And they're just going in. Justin Fields is their guy. That's support. That's giving in.
I love it because it's one of those situations where now at this point with Justin Fields and Casey, you can take that graphic down whenever you'd like at this point. Hopefully, if you're watching this show and you can't read it by now, go back to learning how to read.
Get on a different grading scale.
Yeah. Wait, hooked on phonics. Is that still a thing?
I don't know.
Anyways.
Wordly wise.
Justin Fields, we're not going to get back on this, but I will say that I love the fact that the Chicago fans are all in on this guy. It just makes my heart feel good that there's going to come a day where he's not that guy anymore because he can't run like he runs, and he's a hell of an athlete. I'm never going to take that away from him, but you know my take on Fields. We're not going to get into this, but
what's the stat about? You always say the not for long league and running quarterbacks just don't persist. Look at all the running quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, they don't
Kyler
last.
Murray tore his ACL. Lamar Jackson's been out for a significant time. Jalen Hurts is missing the final few weeks of the season. Justin Fields has missed weeks.
Right.
The only guy that you could say runs quite a bit that hasn't been hurt is Josh Allen. Josh Allen runs quite a bit. I mean, he runs for 40 yards a game, but he hasn't been hurt. He's also more he's bigger than those other guys, right? I mean, he's a much more physical specimen than those. But yeah, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. The problem about
can I give Isaiah Prince a little bit of justice here? Are we just gonna? Is the Isaiah Prince segment gonna literally be you guys bring him up? You look to Casey and you say, "Is this guy any good?" And he said, I don't know. He started in the Super Bowl, gave up 3 sacks, 7 pressures, and he got a 2 out of 100.
Yeah, I didn't need to hear that
into the grading scale, and next thing you know, we're off the deep end.
Well, you bring up the Justin Fields thing, and I was.
What about really quickly though? Just to stay on Isaiah Prince, we could jump back to Justin Fields again on moving on from QB.
I'm holding out for Andrew Whitworth. Let me put it that way.
He's not coming back. Andrew Whitworth is not a thing. It's not going to be a thing.
Free agent.
He's going on Bengal Jim's freaking podcast here soon
to announce it.
Oh, you think he's going to announce he's coming?
To announce it.
Yeah, that's an announcement.
There's your tinfoil hat.
Wow.
Breaking news.
I didn't know this.
On
the
Bengal
announcement
Gyms.
party.
On Bengal Jim.
Wow. I didn't see that spin coming.
What if he's been working out all week and all the guys have just missed it? He's been working out all week with the Bengals and he's starting on Monday. Who's he? Von Miller's obviously hurt. Who's Isaiah Prince going to be challenged with on Monday? Who's going to fall to the king that is Isaiah Prince? If Isaiah Prince doesn't give up a single sack,
I thought Casey was going to tell you because he's the only guy that would know that.
That's
I have no idea.
Say it again. Fellas, I just want you to know.
Casey has
been over here for the last hour, clicking, Xing out, clicking a parlay to cook up.
Oh, my God.
Casey, stop parlaying.
Casey!
And I cannot tell you.
Put the camera back on us, Casey.
Casey has clicked on probably, I would say in the last hour, no less than 200 different options to put this parlay together.
I'm cooking up something great so then you can all go to the Buffalo Bills game. Okay?
Casey?
My favorite
That's
thing
all
is
I'm trying
Casey
to
comes
do.
in here every week and goes, parlay almost hit. Parlay almost hit. One leg away. And every time I tell him, literally every time he brings it up, I was like, good thing they pay you for almost. Good thing you almost get
Do
it.
a round robin.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing round robins, and I'll be making money.
God, you got to put up a lot of money for a round robin.
Casey. You will have plenty of time to try to cook up this loss. Whatever you're doing right now, you'll have plenty of time to
see
do
what's
that
been
later.
going on over here in the last hour.
I've asked
I've
Casey
been
like
mesmerized.
3 questions.
I've been mesmerized watching
Casey's
what's
had
going on.
Sam Block's tweet up there for 30 minutes trying to figure out what he's going to put his 4th leg on in this parlay. That's not even going to get.
We're all on like leg 8.
I mean,
My favorite is Casey's parlays. He sprinkles in the over Joe Burrow 98 passing yards. Just sprinkles it in because it's just the most likely thing.
Casey, we have a question that the audience wants to know. The people that are watching this show, they want your insightful information. They don't care about your 8-leg parlay right this second.
Who's the weak side pass rusher for the Bills?
Who's Isaiah Prince going up against?
Gregory Rousseau.
Gregory.
Okay. And the chat wants to know, is that guy any good?
The best comparison I can give is a better version of Sam Hubbard.
So yeah, pretty good.
Oh, so yeah,
pretty good.
I'll take that.
At least when it comes to
Oh God, we're cooked. We're toast.
If Isaiah,
Hang on.
What's got a worse
When it-
chance of success,
Hold on,
Isaiah
hold on.
Prince or this parlay?
when it comes to pass rush. Now, when it comes to the run defense, I think Sam Hubbard is better. Let me clarify that.
let's run it to the right side then.
Yeah, let's run it to the right side.
Casey?
If Isaiah Prince doesn't give up a sack this Monday, he will be
you
forever
put that in a
known on
parlay?
this show for the entire playoff run. If he's our starting right tackle for the playoff run, he'll be known. He'll be upgraded to Isaiah King.
Okay.
Isaiah King.
Isaiah King. Fair enough.
upgraded.
If he doesn't,
2 to
let's set
100.
the parameters. Let's set the parameters. He does not give up 1 sack.
1 sack on Monday
No sacks on Monday. His name's Isaiah King.
from here on out.
Fair enough. Casey, I don't really care about this parlay all that much, but I do want to ask one question. If you can do it in under 45 seconds, I want to hear every bet. I don't need to hear about why. I just want to hear every bet and how many ever legs you got, and I'll immediately tell you whether or not you have a semi-chance
No,
or
he
not.
just started back over. We're back to square one.
Oh, my gosh.
After we get to our final,
He
our final
ruined the
point-
show and then turns around and deletes the bet slip?
Trace, this is like version 8.
Oh, my God. We have a problem already. We literally have to call
No, he's been in the lab.
Casey's the first person in gambling history that has had to call the 1-800 number before he even placed a single wager. He has gone off the deep end. The
I'm not
people
doing this
that
for
he
me.
works with are sitting in the same room as him. He's trying to produce a show. He's got Sam Block's face on it for 45 seconds longer than it should be on there because he's over there trying to cook up a parlay that he can't even place yet when in fact he doesn't even know what he wants to bet. He deletes the bet slip in the middle of the show. That is 1-800 number worthy, Casey.
I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it for you.
Just wait.
I'm doing it for you.
It's not what you can
wait
do
till the
for
end of
your
the show.
country.
I will say this
It's what you.
to our esteemed viewers, Casey is really good at parlays. He's close every week.
I'll tell you. Nobody's
close.
closer than Casey on these parlays.
He's due.
Casey's
I'm
going,
cooking
it's
up
not
something.
what you can do for your company. It's what your company can do for you.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable. We have lost. We have lost Casey. We're gonna have to really sit down. We're gonna have to go in over here to this conversation room. We have a office right next to us.
Emperor Star.
And I'm
Street.
gonna
Get
leave
that
this
out of here.
conversation with Casey and say, so how do you think things are going?
God.
And Casey, what's your answer gonna be?
Things are going pretty good.
That's a dynamite
catching strays over Will.
Are we on to the scam of the day?
Well, no. Let me get into this part about.
By the way, this is a wild thing I'm gonna do. Probably shouldn't do it, but I'm gonna do it anyways because I don't care. We started a Discord channel. Some of this Discord channel is going to be about being able to see behind the scenes stuff, start to get some of the inside jokes, just to see kind of how things operate around here. We're going to tell you today, I'm going to make a video on the inside joke that just happened on this show. Probably shouldn't do that, but we're going to do it anyways. So you join the Discord channel. You got to hit the little link at the top. If you don't have a Discord, it's not that hard. Just create one. It took me about 15 minutes last night to figure out what the hell Discord was and how it all worked. But I got to be honest. I'm not just saying this. Discord's elite, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Love me Discord now.
Discord's great.
Just found out about it. Just learned how to use it. I know it's from the folks that don't know technology, probably not the easiest thing to figure out at the beginning. But think of this chat over off to the right. Almost 24/7. You know, that could be a lot. You got to pace yourselves from time to time. But that's what it could be. So we're going to explain what it's a pretty funny story. We'll tell that story today in the Discord. So go ahead, Reader. You got something to say?
Yeah, I was just going to talk about the other news in the NFL, which was obviously Derek Carr, and I think Emperor Starscream wanted us to talk about this, or maybe Zach Murray wanted us to talk about the Derek Carr situation on how he got benched earlier this week. 2, he's just not coming around the team anymore.
Right. I like this take from you, by the way. This is an elite segment for you.
Well, so people are telling the Raiders, and I'm probably closer to that same camp, like, hey, man, 1 in the hand's worth 2 in the bush. Derek Carr's a really good quarterback. What are they doing moving off of Derek Carr? Be careful what you wish for. That whole nah. But here in the NFL over the past few years, teams have gone off of good quarterbacks. Several teams have. And almost with impunity, it's been a success. Let's go around. First off, let's go here in Cincinnati. We had a good quarterback in Andy Dalton. He was good for years, and maybe he ran its course. We get rid of him, go draft a first overall pick in Joe Burrow. Rest is history. Now every team's not like that, so let's look over to elsewhere. What about the Philadelphia Eagles? They started a Super Bowl run with Carson Wentz. He was the MVP before he got hurt. All of a sudden, Carson Wentz, they said, hey, man, we just don't think we can get you. We don't think you can get us to the next pedestal. They move off of him. They get Jalen Hurts. They're the number 1 team in the NFC. Okay, what about over in L.A.? The Rams, Sean McVay took Jared Goff to the Super Bowl. And Jared Goff, you're not doing it for me. Get rid of him. Next thing you know, they get Matt Stafford. They're in the Super Bowl and win it. So all these good quarterbacks, and people go, why are you moving off of a good quarterback? They're hard to find. There's 16 teams in this league that are looking for good quarterbacks. Why are you getting off of a guy that's a proven winner? Well, it's working. And not to point fingers at the Raiders, they're moving off Derek Carr. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But there's some other teams that might want to follow down this same path. Maybe a team like that team down there in Texas. I mean, we saw them play last night, maybe.
Yep.
Dak Prescott leading the league in interceptions and has missed 5 games. The Browns did it with Baker Mayfield. Deshaun Watson, we'll see what happens with that. But don't be so quick to jump on the Raiders for getting rid of their guy.
Casey, I need you to do some elite work right now. You ready for this?
Yep, elite work here.
Can you
The Broncos didn't have a guy ever at Henry.
Can you text Spurlock? See if he's available. I don't know if we can get him on a video chat. That might be a lot. Maybe. I don't know.
I just saw him in.
Is he out?
He's literally here.
He's literally here. He's never been on the air. Go get him in here.
Listen. We need to get him up here because
You know
I
you're
heard
watching.
a take today about Dak Prescott. First of all, Sean, very much in the same, huge Cowboys fan. Very much in the same.
Come on in here, Spur.
Come on, Spur. Seriously.
Come on in
Let's
here.
go,
Get up there.
Don't worry
and grab
about the
microphone
door.
really fast. I got a sincere question for you, Cowboy fans. He said,
You guys have
Everett
never
dropped the mic on your take, by the way. He said definitely worked for the
Well, the Broncos didn't have a good quarterback, did they? They didn't move off of a good quarterback. Yeah, they went out to find another guy, but it's not like Drew Lock was a guy winning ball game.
That is true and funny. All right, Spur, here's the thing. I heard this earlier today from the guy that not Sean.
Can we
Tom,
introduce him?
Yeah,
Sure.
Chat doesn't know Spur.
It's the
This
co-founder.
is co-founder of Chatterbox Sports.
Sean Spurlock.
Also, everything else that we've done around here. It's the reason we stay on track. He's been nicknamed the
Spur Bear.
Nope. And
The compass.
Yes.
The compass. Yeah.
The
The
compass.
compass. Because the truth is, if this
He always
company was
points
ran,
north.
if this company was ran solely by myself and even obviously Reed, I don't know about the guys at the table over there, but there probably wouldn't be a company if it was a table over there. but all I have to say is, I love that. That was like, for those that didn't see, there was like a Step Brothers mutual bond over there at that table. They just give a fist bump like, I don't give a damn if they're talking shit or not. We're a team.
That happened at this desk yesterday, didn't it? Reed and Paul.
Oh
Yeah, they did the hook 'em horns. That's what
That was
doomed me.
weird. That was like a couple weeks ago. That was when we did.
That
our
was weird. It was a
bullpen.
weird moment.
It was a weird moment.
was
But
very
apparently
weird.
people do it.
Yeah.
The truth is that this company would be in shambles. We'd probably have the IRS up our ass for sure because we wouldn't keep track of a damn thing if it was up to me and Reed. Spur Bear is one of the nicknames. The Compass is probably the more appropriate nickname, especially with us. But nonetheless, that's Sean. He also is a Cowboys fan, Ohio State fan, and UC Bearcat fan. But that's here nor there. Big Bearcat win last night. We'll get on to that in a second.
That was a good one.
Jeremiah Davenport looks like a ball player.
I don't know about that.
Looks like a ball player.
I heard Paul saying that. I totally disagree. I was not happy with some of the shots he took.
His
last
shot
night.
selection was bad, but I thought he
3
I
for
thought this-
19 for his last
I mean,
19 threes.
did he get a couple steals on defense? I mean, yeah, maybe.
I mean, you got to be looking for some positives here because there haven't been many.
There were some positives when he was on the bench.
Don't force feed positives.
All right, so here's the deal. I had heard from the guy that no one was paying attention to this morning when Thom had him on at the very beginning of the show because the chat was just going berserk. The chat was just going wild this morning, and no one was paying attention to that interview at all. At least I don't think they were. Maybe there were some people, but there wasn't that many people that were watching it because the chat was just exploding. One thing he said that I actually heard during that interview was he had mentioned that he feels like a lot of the interceptions that Dak has thrown this year are fluke interceptions. They're things that doesn't seem like are going to happen all that often. Tip passes, balls that hit off guys' helmets that shouldn't have hit
I
off
could not
guys'
imagine
helmets.
a quarterback throwing tip passes.
I knew you were going to say something like that. But in all honesty, you're a guy that probably watches the games exclusively. At least you've seen most of them, if not all of them. What is that true or not true?
That's not true. I mean, he makes bad decisions all the time. And the bottom line is when it comes to Dak Prescott, when the game's on the line and the Cowboys got to come out and make that drive when there's 2 minutes to go, he just never gets it done. He doesn't. And
There's guys that you have a lot
and
of
it's been that way
confidence.
for 7 years. I mean, it's one thing if it's the guy's first, second year in the league. Dak's been there for 7 years. He's just never been able to get it done. So I have no confidence in him until he proves me wrong.
That's
fair. Also,
would
Zach
you
Murray's
want
in
to
here
move
telling me
on?
that I'm burying the guest. The guest was great. I'm not burying the guest. I'm burying the chat. The chat was just going crazy while we're having a full-fledged interview,
Yeah, that
and the
was a great
chat's
interview.
talking about just wrenches and all a bunch of other stuff. It was wild. But that's the thing about Dak that obviously Tom's come to not like about him is that he just doesn't think he has it in him at the end of the game to figure out a way to win, and he hasn't proven it. But
would you want to move on from him?
I mean, it depends where we're going. I mean,
You gotta have a plan,
The
right?
grass isn't always greener, as we've learned.
Right, right.
There's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of bad quarterbacks in the NFL. That's one thing that's funny about the NFL is like you think that in a world full of football players, you'd be able to find 25 really good people that could play quarterback. And there's probably only 10?
I mean, look at the New York Jets. I mean,
Well,
they've started,
I actually think it's
four guys this year at quarterback.
I think it's different. I think that the basement of quarterbacks is so higher than it was 10 years ago. I think when guys like Andy Dalton, Baker Mayfield, guys, even like a guy like Derek Carr, who's a middle of the pack. Derek Carr would have been a great quarterback 10 years ago, and he's a middle of the pack guy now. The guys like Baker Mayfield and Andy Dalton who are bringing up the bottom, that shows you that the basement, the floor is so much higher than it was 10 years ago. Now, we might not have this pantheon of Hall of Fame quarterbacks anymore, but I still think that it's just better.
We fucking got a funny chat, man.
What do they say?
Everett is
politics.
Everett is politicking it, and it's funny. He said
Trump bucks.
He said Casey's to blame. He started passing out wrenches like Trump did COVID checks. Well, they need to be
Let's
passed
get this
out.
show back on the road here. I don't want people – seriously, we get emails. We get people in our comments on YouTube yelling at us. We talk about politics. Don't talk about politics. We're not talking about politics. It's a funny comment. All right? Have some humor. Having said that,
Also,
what are we talking about here?
Well,
by the way, would you take Derek Carr over Dak Prescott?
Pretty similar, right? Derek
Derek
Carr's probably got a higher ceiling.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty fair swap. I don't really have an opinion on that one way or
Now-
the other.
Now, the league lead in interceptions right now is 14. Derek Carr
That's
and
Derek
Dak
Carr.
Prescott are tied. That's pretty low, right?
Well, Dak Prescott missed how many games?
5 games. 5 games.
Yeah.
5 games. That's tough. But that's
But
still,
they're all fluke interceptions, though. So.
that's low, though, right? Am I crazy for thinking that that's low? I feel like 20 is normally the league lead in interceptions. 14 being incredibly
I
low.
think Eli Manning had one year where he threw about 30 and led the league.
Jameis Winston went 30-30.
Well, yeah, that just happened.
Hey, you can't be – come on, Jameis.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
you better
tough.
check your sheet, player.
Everyone-
Casey, that's an all-time clip. If you've not seen this clip, I'm going to set this thing up, and I'm going to let Casey pull it up. He'll play it here in a minute. I've never seen an interview at a press conference be funnier than when is it Jalen? Why am I sucking?
Jameis Winston.
Jameis. Gee, man, Chris's. Jameis Winston sitting at the press conference, and he's got guys asking him questions about, what do you think about next year, blah, 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 blah. And he sits there, he goes, come on. We know what we're talking about. I'm not going to ruin the clip, but he said, you better check your sheet. He better check your sheet. Talking about how great his stats are outside the fact that he obviously threw 30 interceptions.
Everyone knows what I can do. Everyone knows what I can do.
Cut those interceptions out. I'm balling.
Casey, do you know what clip we're talking about?
Is it the Jameis Winston? He's just sitting there at his press conference and just proving all the doubters wrong or something like that, right? He's just being like,
Paul, do you know?
I'll get it.
Check your
Paul's
sheet,
got to
player.
find it. Send it to Casey.
It's going to be hard to
Casey's
find
gonna
because
line it up.
Jameis has a lot of classic moments.
He does have a lot of classic moments.
If you have a guy that goes out and throws 30 TDs with 30 interceptions, that's got to be similar to having like a quarterback. What's a good? I mean, it's definitely better than like a Zach Wilson.
Hold on.
Zach Wilson stuff. And just to show the basement has raised, the league lead in interceptions for the past few years has been like 15 to 17. 20 years ago, it was constantly over 25. So quarterback play as a whole has just gotten better.
It's Jameis Winston. This is an honest thought I just had. Is Jameis Winston the modern day Yogi Berra? Obviously not the play,
I don't
but
wanna-
just
I don't wanna give him that
just
much
the
credit.
things he says.
I don't want to give him that much credit.
I don't know Yogi Berra. I know Yogi Barrera.
Yogi Berra. That's my fault. I should have known. Casey's hard at work right now.
No, we got it. We got it right here.
Busting his
We got
tail
it.
trying to get this thing squared up.
You
for
guys aren't going to be able to hear it, so you're going to have to. But we got it.
I
right
don't
here.
need to hear it. I've heard it enough.
All right, play it, Casey.
Hang on.
He's got it squared up for you. But this, if you've never seen this Jameis Winston thing, listen to this.
We know what we got to fix. There's no reason for me to be specific. You look at my numbers, I'm balling. I got to stop giving the ball to the other team. Right? Like it's not a trick question.
Do you worry that these turnovers will be a reason why they don't bring you back here?
That's the last thing on my mind. I'm focused on how I can get better, because I know I eliminate those. I'm gonna be the best. So that's bar none. You better check your sheet. I eliminate those. I'm gonna be the best. Like we all know.
Well, if the chat doesn't know, he ended up getting released that year, and then some guy named Tom Brady came in, and the Bucs won the Super Bowl. So
it wasn't a good look for Jameis.
They were balling, 5,100 passing yards, baby.
You can't not like Jameis. I don't know. That's a double negative there, but you got what I was trying to say. I mean, I have a hard time when I listen to Jameis not just smiling or laughing. It doesn't mean I believe what he's saying, but it's just like he is so entertaining to me. The whole W thing that he did, the whole like we're gonna go eat some W's or whatever. That's an all-time clip as well.
What was a better reaction from teammates when Andy Dalton does playmakers on 3, 1, 2, 3 playmakers, or the just general confusion when he's walking around like, see this? You know what this is? It's a W. Let's go eat it. Let's go eat the W. And the guy's like, yeah, okay. Yeah,
Deshaun Jackson in the background was the best on that clip. He was looking at him like he was crazy.
He's just like, what? Okay. All right, let's go.
This is going to be a Jameis Winston show. You're going to have to pull up that clip as well.
I'm putting a video in the Discord right now of what Casey's doing.
Do me a favor. We want 2 clips to end the show. I want the Andy Dalton clip where he's trying to get the guys fired up in the tunnel.
Playmakers on 3.
Playmakers on 3. And I want the Jameis Winston eating W's. That's how we're going to get fired up on our New Year's Eve weekend. Right?
Hold on. What was his quote? What was Andy's quote?
Playmakers on 3.
If you look, so you genuinely think it's not a bad thing to move on from quarterbacks when they're being somewhat average?
It appears when you're going to do it, you're like, man, but we had a good guy. I don't want to be at the basement of the league anymore. But it's proven itself over the past 5 years to not be a terrible move.
So basically what you're saying is this. This is a thought I just came up with off the top of my head. It could be great, could be terrible. When you move on from a quarterback that's average, basically what you're doing as a quote-unquote MLB franchise at that point is saying, listen, we want one of 2 things here. We either want to be really bad and try to stockpile up a quote-unquote farm system with better draft picks in the NFL, if you will.
Right.
Or we want to go out and try to find the guy that we think we believe in, and then we can start to try to go buy pieces around him, similar to what the Bengals did with Joe Burrow, right? Like, there's no mistaking the fact that the Bengals are not going out and spending that much money in free agency if they didn't think they had a franchise quarterback that was on a rookie deal. Like, that is the recipe to win in the NFL, is one of 2 things. You either have an elite quarterback, right, that you have to pay a ton of money to, and they could propel you to win because you don't have that great of a roster because you're paying them all the money, or you have a rookie quarterback, or you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, if you will, that's good enough to take a team that's either above average from a depth perspective on the roster or a great elite team on the roster, and those are the 2 ways you can win a Super Bowl. You can't win a Super Bowl with Andy Dalton at quarterback making decent money with what you would call an average or above average roster.
Well, I think it's just you're looking at
what do we got here?
It's the Andy Dalton hype.
Go ahead. Let's
bring it up. Hey, it's week 1 now. First chance to show who we are. Let's play smart. Let's play fast. Let's play physical. That's what they always preach. Let's go do this together. Playmakers on 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Bring it up.
Blood boiling.
Andy Dalton knew he wasn't getting re-signed right at that very moment. That was the start of the season. That was leaving the locker room for your first game. You've been practicing all year, getting ready to take the field at home. Your leader, your captain gets you fired up, and you go, playmakers.
Playmakers on 3.
Playmakers on 3. Poor Andy.
Let's get into some of these bowls real fast before we get to the scam of the day, and let's give out some thoughtful picks.
You got any picks?
Or some ideas. Tonight, what do we have tonight? Paul, do you have the schedule up, or I can pull it up?
For tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we have? What kind of bowls do we have
Got
tonight?
Clemson, Tennessee tonight.
The Orange Bowl tonight.
Man, that shows you how.
That's actually the Orange Bowl that's being played in that game?
That is the Orange Bowl. That is kind of wild.
Yeah, I didn't really know it was the Orange Bowl. I knew Clemson and Tennessee were playing, but
I did just put the video clip of Casey cooking up his parlay in the general chat on the Discord.
Love it.
Still working hard over here.
Tough news for our Bobbies, according to the system.
I wouldn't say that.
Maryland was looking good.
Maryland?
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, Maryland's not looking bad, is it? Man, but I'll tell you what, Texas kind of hurt me last night a little bit. I mean,
that was a fluke, though.
You need to call the 1-800 number?
Oh, man.
Spurs
out here. Give it to us.
3 4th-down conversions. That was 3 of their scoring drives in that game, Washington. They went for it on 4th down 3 times. 2 of those times were on their own side of the field. I mean, the system was right.
Hell
This is what I've told you.
This is what you believe in the system. Let the people know what you believe in the system.
We've talked about it a few times. The funny thing about the system is there's 4 outcomes with the system. You either win your bet and you're on the right side of the bet. You win your bet and you're on the wrong side. And by being on the wrong side or right side, you made the right call. Just sometimes it doesn't hit. You lose your bet, but you're on the right side. Or you lose your bet and you're on the wrong side. So you really got a 75% chance of feeling good about your bet. These guys said, we lost our bet, but it was the right bet. It was the right call. So you got a 75% chance about feeling good.
I tend to believe what he's saying. I mean, the truth is how many teams are going to go for it on 4th and 2 on their own 37?
It's a bowl game. The season's already over, so it didn't mean that much. So, yeah, the coach he's playing a little more aggressive than he might. If Washington's competing to get to the college football playoff, are they going to go for it on their own 31? I don't think so.
Arizona and UC and Maui. Arizona was up 18 with 80 seconds left. Not my fault Arizona gave up 10 points in 80 seconds. I was on the right side of that
Josh
bet.
Reed.
You were on the right. You were on the right side of that bet.
Yeah, I just didn't cash my money.
Yeah, you were. I mean, that's
1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that. I'll tell you this: it hurts more when you're on the right side of a bet and you lose, than it does of just never even being in it at all. Right? Yeah. Like it just hurts so much more. Bad beats are the worst, man.
Right.
If you invest 4 hours into watching a college football game, and then you come right down at the end and you can see that back door open on the final drive of the game, and you're just like, please no, just don't.
The worst is actually when you're in front the whole time, getting backdoored a bad beat. That's the absolute worst. It's one thing when you got a chance, like you're kind of lingering around, you don't know which way it's going to go, but you feel good about your bet from the first quarter to the final, and you just see, like Paul just said, that back door's opening up, it's creaking, someone's looking in. They're like, should we take this back door or not?
All right, guys, you want to hear some good news? We got the OGs in the chat. You know why? Because I see our numbers right now, which is funny because a month and a half ago these were great numbers, which I don't even care. I don't give a damn how many people watch the show. Quite frankly, sometimes it's just fun to hang out with you guys. But having said that, our OGs are in the chat. I just got a text message. It's coming right now. I'm proofreading it 100%. So what that is this. I didn't want to come off this show, or I didn't want to end this show before I said
Are we doing this right now?
We're doing this right now.
We 100% sure we're doing this right now?
We're 100% sure we're doing this right now. I got proof, yes.
Do we want to check on that proof before we do this?
That's a good point, Paul.
Do you want to check on this proof before you do this? Probably want to check on that proof before you do this.
Okay. It's going to be in the
Discord.
Discord.
What a tease!
It's going to be in the Discord.
Join the Discord, everybody.
It's going to be in the Discord. if you're not in the Discord for this, then I mean, I know that was a really hard tease. I was like right there to do it. You've talked me right out of that, Paul.
Well,
that was an elite move by you.
I just got to cover, dot your I's, cross your T's.
Really good producer.
He's resilient.
He is wearing purple.
Resilient.
And that's part of it.
Real quick, when you guys were talking about bad beats, I don't know, you guys might have got into this, but what about that bad beat the other night? I mean, Arkansas was up, 38-13 in that game?
Yeah, that was tough.
2.5 point
well,
spread.
Well, the final spread was 1.5, I think, right before kick.
Oh,
so
well.
some people
a lot of people got it at 2.5,
right.
though, and covered. So
yeah, I didn't bet that game. I haven't bet in a while, guys. I'm excited to get back on the horse.
In all seriousness.
I'm the same way.
So who's ready for my 10-leg
parlay? Oh, my God, it's 10 legs.
Oh.
It's 10 legs.
Yeah, that'll be the scam of the day. That'll be the scam of the day. Casey's right. 10-leg parlay.
Well, you were going to say
let's listen to this 10-leg parlay, and then after that, if you're in the Discord, we're going to eventually do some merch here. Let me explain to the people why we don't have merch the way that you probably think we should have merch, is because we've been down this path before. I'm going to be very transparent with you. It's a lot of work to do merch. It's a pain in the ass. It's a headache. And when you only have, 20 people, 10 people buy it, it's tough because it's just incredible amount of legwork to get to that point. Having said that, our numbers have been growing. I'm not going to sit here and play Debbie Downer that Chatterbox isn't big enough to have merch like that. That's not where I'm going with this. I do think a lot of people in the chat want merch. I know that to be a fact. We need to get some merch. If you're in the Discord channel, I'm being dead serious about this. If you're in the Discord channel, when we decide to do the merch and we launch the website, et cetera, it's not going to be very big. We're going to have just some staple stuff. We will provide merch. I don't know whether we provide it like 24/7 or if we only do it like right before Christmas, right before certain holidays to make it to where, like the shop's only open, if you will, for a certain amount of time until we get to a point where it can be open 24/7 regardless. That's beside the point. You will get something. whether it's a T-shirt, whether it's a beanie, whether it's a hat, whatever it may be, we will send you something in the mail as a loyal listener, follower. So if you're watching this right now, or if you know people that are watching it that are OGs, tell them to get in the Discord. I am going to put it into a channel. Don't know which channel it'll be, but it'll be inside of a channel that everyone's in, of an email address that you can email your address, your name, and the size. That's what we need, those 3 things. And I'm also going to put the huge news in our Discord. You'll be the first to know. It'll probably be about 2 hours later. We'll put it out on socials. But we'll put it in Discord first just because that was a ridiculous tease you just had to go through. But it's a very big deal for us. When I say it's a big deal, this isn't overblown. If we get this deal done, which is supposedly, I'm getting like verbal communication right now. It says it's 100% done, sending it over now, sending the contract to our inbox. When we get this done, I'm being serious. This will change Chatterbox's trajectory. That's not hyperbole. That's not me being like facetious. Now, I'm not trying to be funny. It genuinely can help us from a financial standpoint to be able to go do some things we need to do in order to make us continue to be on the elevator that we are. So I can't share it until it's at least signed. That it has to be signed.
That's a good point. Casey?
Yep.
Let's see the 10 leg.
Parlay, baby.
I'm going to preview this.
The Spider parlay plus 2 legs.
I'm previewing this. Casey, pull it up.
10 legs.
Put up on the...
No. Don't put it on the screen. It's better if you read it. But I'm going to preview this by saying that on this parlay, $20 pays you $4,940.
How much is it?
$4,000.
What's the bet?
$20.
$20. My gosh.
Plus $24,600.
This is wild. This is how sportsbooks
Here it
make
is.
their money, everybody.
Here it is.
Let's show you.
All right, so game 1, same game parlay on DraftKings.
Wait, you're doing multiple same game parlays?
Multiple.
2. Just 2.
All right, let's see it. Can we see it? He's getting laughed at. I hope he hits it now, just so he walks in here just dragging it all over the floor. Just bring it proof.
All right, so here we go.
I mean,
Houston.
Are you going to tell us, or are you sharing
Yeah,
the screen?
I can't share my screen.
What do you mean?
Well,
you
maybe
can't share your
we
screen?
shouldn't share the screen.
Okay, you're right.
Maybe
Yeah, don't share the screen.
Maybe we shouldn't share the screen.
Yeah, good point. That's a great point.
Houston under 17.5 points. Jacksonville over 17.5 points.
Okay, slow down. Houston, we're talking about NFL.
Yep. This is all NFL.
Houston versus who?
Jags.
They play each other.
It's the same
Houston
game. It's the
versus-
same game parlay.
Oh, okay. Houston versus Jacksonville.
It's 2 same-game parlays.
Okay, I'm following
parlayed
along now. I'm
together.
sorry. So Houston versus
Parlayception.
Houston versus Jacksonville. Go ahead.
17.5 over for Jags, 17.5 under for Houston. Okay? The total, under 43.5 points. A fumble to be lost by either team, and an Evan Ingram anytime touchdown score. That's a plus 1,200. Then I made another same-game parlay that I parlayed with this. Chicago Bears at Detroit Lions. Chicago under 24.5 points. That's not really a big deal. But Detroit over 24.5 points.
Yeah, why you say it's not a big deal, Casey? They played last time. I think the Bears scored 30.
It was 30. It was 30 points, but then I had the under 52.3 points. Justin Fields anytime touchdown score. Jared Goff to get over 229.5 yards passing. Justin Fields over 54.5 yards
Goff to get
rushing.
over what? I'm cataloging it.
229.5.
And I'll take a picture and send it in the chat.
Join the Discord. Casey will put it in there.
Yeah. The
They
parlays,
almost always hit.
The same game parlays individually is a plus 1,200 and a plus 1,800. When you parlay them together, your odds are 24,600.
So if I put $10, if I put odd dollar, I get $240.
Burning money.
$1.
$1 gets you
$240, which will pay for a Bengals Bills ticket.
It will. And if you want to do $2, you get two
tickets.
Bring a buddy. $3, you get 3 buddies. You know? Just,
And it's they almost always almost hit.
almost
Emperor,
always hit.
Emperor asks, how many bets can you have on a parlay? Is it unlimited?
As many as you want. The books actually love when you add it on. The books
Emperor, they would love for you to make a 40-team parlay. I mean, 10-teamer is one thing. I'll tell you what, that is the definition of a new gambler. I'm being dead serious. When I was like, this is where I'm going to get myself a little bit of trouble. When I was like 12, and my uncle brought home one of those football cards from places like the dock.
The dry dock.
Why you got to call them out like that? I was just trying to give them a little bit of love. The dock. No one need to call them out by their exact name.
Dude, I was drinking in the dock when I was 17 years old. I know about the dock.
Oh,
Man,
no. He's putting the dock under. All right. We need to get Reed censored. That said, you bring those football cards home, and he's like, my uncle's like, yeah, you got to get them all right. But if you get them all right, this is what it is. And you get if you get 4 right, it pays, 10 to 1. It's like if you put $1 down, you get 10. If you put down 10, you get 100. You can figure out the math. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. First thing I do as a kid, 10-teamer.
Try to get as much money as possible.
Oh, yeah, you're just thinking, I'm going to do this 5. I did this 5 times in a row. I was like, these games aren't hard. Not a big deal. I'll pick them all right. My uncle didn't even place the bet. He took the bet himself. But I learned a valuable lesson that day, or those upcoming weeks as a 12-year-old. Those 7.5-point spreads for the favorites, they're hard to cover.
Yeah.
They don't come easy.
Yeah.
You think it's just a touchdown. Well, that touchdown seems pretty big when you're watching a game and you're trying to cover it.
Every new gambler loves to see that plus sign next
And
to
this
the
is where
odds.
people think that, oh, look at you, Trace, and whoever else. You guys are degenerates, and, I'm just here to tell you, I genuinely believe that gambling is something to take serious. You can't get yourself in a position where you mentally are using it to try to win money.
Correct.
That's the goal, sure. It's what you want to do, sure. But if you go into it with the mindset that, you know what, this is just a night out with my friends. I'm going to spend $100 at a bar, or I'm going to spend $50 at the movies, or I'm going to go golfing and spend $100. That's how you treat gambling. And truth be told, I think it can be something that is very entertaining, very fun, can be electric, and you can enjoy it with your friends. It gives you something to talk about. But not for a minute on this show or any of our other stuff are we ever going to act like, it's something to get rich from, because that is completely the wrong take. It's completely the wrong concept. Can that happen? Sure. Have our office been successful at gambling in the past few years? Yes. But to sit here and act like it's the way in which you're going to start paying your mortgage or your rent or whatever else that's important to you, it's not it. And Casey, quite frankly, is burning money right before our eyes, but it's the thing that you have to do when you get into gambling, and I'm not going to stop him from it.
$5, you can take 5 friends to the game.
That's exactly that was all I was trying to do.
He added another game.
I'm getting real crazy now.
He added 6 more picks, so we're up to 10 to pay 10,000.
All right.
Oh my gosh, guys!
All right, guys.
I mean,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We are on the precipice of hopefully greatness at Chatterbox.
Wait, one last thing for the year. We got to do a wheel of lunch.
Wheel of lunch. Let's put them on
One
there.
last wheel
Throw 'em
for
up
the
there.
year.
One last wheel. Let me put it up here.
But yeah, you're right, Trace. On the doorstep of glory.
We're on the doorstep of glory. So we'll see. I hope to put it in the Discord. I have nothing on Discord. People are asking me if Discord has my kids held hostage. They do not. But I think it's a great way for us to communicate outside of these shows. And I also think it's going to be an enjoyable experience for many people to jump in there and just get to see us a little more kind of authentically throughout the days from time to time. We'll put some behind-the-scenes stuff on the Discord. And at the end of the day, it's just about having fun. Right. I could care less about Discord. Run the wheel of
What we
lunch.
got? Everyone give one
Everyone
suggestion.
give one suggestion.
We got 5 microphones.
One suggestion.
Spur, you go
and
ahead.
the chat needs to give us suggestions, and we'll take 2 from it.
Penn Station.
That's a company man right there.
It's tough for Paul.
Tough for Paul.
Is it up to me? I am going to go with McAllister's.
I'll go Culver's. Paul?
Brandon.
Scammers on no.
Lunch.
All ate up.
Oh no.
He just made the whole office go. Oh.
Reed ruined it for us.
Sorry.
Casey.
Put it on.
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
I haven't had Chipotle in a long
Richards
time.
is awesome too, man.
I'll take Chipotle.
I like bacon. Said Richards. Throw Richards on there.
Yep.
It is Friday. We do have to put Gina's on there as our.
That is true.
Is that yours?
No, that's not ours.
Hey, Emperor. If you Google Maps,
Firehouse.
Google Maps Hamilton, Ohio, and just scroll out a little bit. We're not traveling forever. Just type in restaurants. Find
that it?
something you like.
Ready to
That's
rock?
it. Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
So we're not doing anything else? Did
No.
we get our 2 chat picks in?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Here we go.
This is a good wheel. A lot of suggestions. Got some variety.
Oh, no.
No.
I'm okay
Wheel-
with that
no.
if we're being honest.
I went to
The wheel
Gina's
knows
We've been there a
last
lot.
time.
Yeah,
I went to Gina's
it's
last
not
time.
the quickest place.
No.
Get there.
No.
We're still alive, baby.
I wanted a burger.
Still alive.
Still want a burger. Do I have any hope
Can we
for a
send
burger?
Emperor Steak Hoagie? We might be able
Oh,
to do that.
Trace.
Tough. Do I have any hope
Can
for
we
a
ever
burger?
go there
I don't think I
for-
do.
We did go there once. Missed it.
Of course.
That all ate up's just gonna linger around, isn't it?
Oh, boy.
We need to get it out of here now.
Oh, Firehouse. I mean, I'm getting down to some bad options for me. I think I'm down to basically Chipotle.
No,
Can't eat at Richards?
You could eat Richards.
I mean, I'm talking about preference. Stop.
There we go.
All right.
All right.
Now we're
That was a
winning.
good one. That was
This
a
is
good
winning
one.
time.
All right.
All Laid Up is it's a great calzone place, pizza
Great
joint.
calzone place.
It is great. It's just one of those things where it's right next to our office. We've been there probably too many times.
Slow. No. Well, actually, I could still go to Chipotle if this lands on Penn Station.
Why are you hating on Richards?
Yeah, Richards is
That's not
elite.
bad. This one doesn't count. That was my bad.
I feel like it should count. Land on Richards.
All right, gotta remember that's
Here
what
we
it
go.
lands on.
Wait, make them both blue. Oh, well, never mind.
It's tough.
Close enough.
It's a little.
It's all right.
And here we go.
A lot of blue. Richards, it is.
Yep.
Going to Richards.
Money in the bank.
Going to Dickey Pizzas.
That's solid. That's a solid.
All right.
Solid lunch.
We'll see you guys on Monday.
If you don't like
Hold on.
Richards
Happy-
Pizza,
Oh, wait.
forget it.
Do we have a winner for the chat for Sunday?
It'll be in the Discord.
Oh, Discord.
Be in the
that's
Discord.
right. Okay.
We're just gonna put all of our anything we ever want to talk about on the show. We'll just put it in the Discord.
We'll see you guys on Monday. Hopefully, you guys win some
Be
money
safe,
with
please.
new gambling.
Be safe. We'll
Yeah,
have an
be
elite show
safe.
come Monday.
Don't go out
That's
of
for damn
control
sure.
on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football.
Get an Uber. Drive responsibly.
We'll be talking
Which
about
means don't drive
TCU versus
too many
Georgia
beers.
on Monday.
and/or White Claws in the stomach.
See you guys.
See you, everybody.
I say one thing. I want everybody to look at me. I'm going to pass it to corn after I say one thing. Let's go. That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight? I'm going to eat a W tonight. Come in, That's all I want.